There we go. We are live. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to be here with you today. So we're here at the Grace Company. I'm Laurel Erznosnik, and we have
Nathan. My name is Nathan. Nathan E. Ears, Nose, Neck, Grace Co., Salt Lake City, Utah.
Woo! And then we are on live with our Australian distributors. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Roswitha from Know How Sewing Essential.
And myself, Hans Martini, Know How Sewing Essentials, in distributing happily Grace products for a while now, and can't wait to get the next container in and this event. And we got a few more shows coming on this year, so yeah, this is gonna be good. And that's
It's exciting to be here. Now, Hans and Roswitha, you guys have been deep in the trenches. I know clear back really since a little bit before April. And Hans, I know before that, show to show. And we did a digital event like this in Australia back about in April time. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes,
yep.
Yeah.
And you guys came out and requested, hey, can we do another event to connect with everybody throughout Australia? And I understand, again, it's been a sad day as there's some recognition with the holiday today from Queen Elizabeth. So we're hoping that everybody's doing okay and faring well. But with that, share with us a little bit, Roswitha and Hans, about your experiences over the last few months, and then what the last digital event is and kind of what we can expect for all of your audience this time.
Well, there's the shows which we're doing, the Craft Alive shows and the quilt shows. Also the other local shows which we done in Bateman's Bay and some other shows are only pretty much catering for the people who are in that area who can come to it. But these digital events, they go further. They go to New Zealand, Tasmania, Western Australia, to the Outback, to the territories where people can sign in and just say what products are available. So yes, to have the digital event is something which worked for us, the one in April. So that's why we requested to have another one with more products. We learned quite a little bit what to do different, and repeat some great specials which we had done. And so this is quite And it's easy because I'm wearing shorts. Actually, nobody can see that. It's like home.
And maybe can I ask, do you have a couple specials we'll be talking about here as the show moves along for everybody that's watching?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We do have all the two-cut products will be 20% off. And of course, our cutie frame and Hughes on hoop frames are on special as well. So just as we go, we let you know the specials, and let's have a great show.
Yeah, wonderful. I know we're really excited. I know we have quite a few different people coming in. Really, it looks like from all over and joining us. Let's kind of go back here. Yeah, we have Belinda Kinman. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you. We're excited to have you. We have Deborah. I was probably saying it wrong. Chellingworth. Good morning, everybody. That's wonderful to have you. Yvonne L. Chapman, good morning, everybody, as well. Yeah, we have people from all over. Yeah, Grace Clear from Illinois, it looks like, joining from the States. Fun. Yeah, really all over, it looks like.
Is it Illinois or is it Ilford at the back of Wagga?
Probably Ilford. Yeah,
that's probably that one.
So let's go ahead and say, if you're there with us, Grace Clear, we would love to hear exactly where you might be from. Hi from IL is what I'm going to say. Maybe, Hans, you can share this one. I'm not sure what NETX means. Where is this from Deborah?
We got a Texas in on the northern border, and we got a Texas in New South Wales. It's only got 3 traffic lights, a red, a yellow, and a green. But actually, I don't know if they got a traffic light, but yeah, it's a really no. Welcome everybody. It's great. Even Therese.
Therese, yeah. Hi, Therese.
Yeah, she's just down the road. Yeah. Lakes Entrance, Victoria. Julie Collette, yes. Julie, I see you next weekend. deliver your machine, which you ordered a couple of weeks ago. Yes, Julie.
Way to go. Congratulations. Yeah. Thanks for being with us today.
Big 21 with everything. Yeah. It's going to be a great setup. Yeah.
Now here's one, Kentucky,
There you
USA.
go.
So somehow Belinda's joining us.
There you go.
Just so you know, Hans and Roswitha, we also post this for other people that know and are part of the Grace community. So Belinda, thanks for being here. You'll see a few
Yes.
things,
Thank
maybe a few things you've already seen and maybe some that you have not. So
Yes,
wonderful.
Welcome. Yeah, people, this is really neat. See, okay, it's really, because all the time when they do it, I'm like, it must be the US, but I'm like, wait, this is an international.
This looks like it might be near Chicago. So it looks like that might be an LA one. Oh, here's another one. Charlene White from Perth.
Wow, that's an early rise.
Yeah. Wonderful.
What time is it over there? Anybody knows it a 2 or is it a 3 hour difference?
5:30. Yeah.
3
in the morning.
hours.
Yeah.
Behind.
Wow.
It's very good.
Well, thanks for being here, Charlene. It's exciting to have you join us.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. Yeah, I'm really impressed. And I know, Nathan mentioned it and Ron talked about that we have actually held one of these before, but I think this is so far, even just now, the first day kicking this off, we've had a great turnout, and it is really neat to see everybody joining us from both, stateside and then internationally, really with you guys there. So it's really fun to be able to be with everyone here. We have just a couple of things we're going to kind of go over here. And actually in this first little live segment, we are going to be doing a giveaway. So stay tuned for that. But we're going to go into kind of how actually we are how we're choosing the winner of this first giveaway. So it is chosen from those that have pre-registered. So for those that are watching, we do encourage you to make sure you are registered and signed up for this event.
So can I quickly ask, do we have a couple people joining from your YouTube channel maybe? Might people stream and see that, Roswitha and Hans, do you know? Or Facebook?
Yeah, this is both. This is theirs.
so maybe if we're saying
Facebook,
if you've reached out and you're on Facebook and you're watching this as well and you haven't come to the events, you can look at, would you know if there's a link where they can find this, Roswitha and Hans? Because
Yes.
I know we have some things going on tomorrow and we are looking at drawing from some of the names on some of these prizes for those that have registered. So maybe if you can pass that through in the private chat, I can look at putting that up for everybody else to know.
Yep.
If they're on the Facebook side, maybe how they can contact you and or be registered as well. So sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to bring that up because I know there's people that might not be here. And you can go back to your free giveaways. We're doing some stuff. So.
Yeah, no, that's perfect because that's kind of what we're talking about here. So yeah, if you again, Roswitha or Hans wouldn't mind again putting what that website is that they can go to access that registration, because this is how we're choosing the winners right now in this first segment, how we're choosing the winner. But then stick with us because about halfway through we'll be doing some live giveaways with it. So that'll be a really fun thing to have there. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So then kind of just as we go through, this first one we're going to be doing is what we call a free motion starter kit. So I don't know, Roswitha or Hans, have you guys had the opportunity to kind of see what that is, or?
No, haven't.
Great. You mind if I share a couple things?
Yeah, please do. I think there's some
So let's just put it this way. Anybody out there, if you've quilted or finished a quilt, not just pieced it, but put it together and you've quilted through it. If you're on a domestic machine and you're pushing it through with your hands, or if you have a frame. So some of you here, it sounds like a couple people were just recently have purchased a few things. One of the biggest things we always find is somebody is always nervous to begin. I don't know, I don't want to ruin my project. I don't know if I want to start with one of the quilts I already have. And the biggest thing we decided to do is give you a way to learn some simple motion. And this free motion starter kit has all the top, the batting, the backing. The top is fully printed. And I like to say it's kind of like going back to grade school, but it's super easy because we have a line that's solid that you can literally trace, and it's between kind of like when we used to write in cursive with our A's and our B's and our C's. Then it goes to dotted and then it goes to open. And so it lets you learn some motion, and then it allows you to finish with your own motion. And it goes through a series of different types of patterns that you can quilt. And then it starts combining those into blocks amongst other things as well. So it's a very, very great tool. I love telling the story about Justice. He's here in operations. We had him come out and do this. He went through this, and when he was done, he was the proudest guy I had seen. He's like, look what I did, and brought the quilt through to show us that he actually could do quilts. So this free motion starter kit is a wonderful product that really includes, it also includes actually bobbins, pre-wound bobbins, some extra thread for all of this, the printed top with some printed instructions and information. So it's a wonderful value, great way to get started if you're at home. sitting down. You can do the same thing on the sit down machines. If you have a frame, you can then move the frame over them. So it really works great for both those at home on their domestics and for the mid and long arms as well. So it's a great kit to begin starting with, help you with your free motion quilting.
Yeah, it is. It really is, and that is a really unique story. And I know even people, you know, that I've had stories from just getting started. They said, "Oh, it's just so perfect," because really they want to practice on what would feel like a real quilt, and this gives them that opportunity. So it's a wonderful thing. And then, you know, Nathan, you had asked earlier for that link to help them be able to get registered. So it is up there on the screen. It is a little bit longer.
So we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's probably too long since we don't have it that you can click on. What I will say is let's put the mail.
We can do this.
Yeah, here we go. Let's go ahead and reach out to Roswitha and Hans. They can send it to you. The reason you're going to want to connect on the platform is the videos and the content you're going to watch, you'll have a chance to go back and watch it anytime you want. So if you're registered, you have access to all the things that we're doing right here as well. But you can reach out to mail@knowhowsewing.com.au and then they can get you that link. It's a fairly long link. I was thinking, I forget, it can't be digital. You can't click on it.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we'll just have you contact mail@knowhowsewing.com.au.
Yes, yeah, to get the link for that. And again, this first prize that we're doing is chosen from someone that has pre-registered. So again, if you haven't, please go sign up because you do have a chance to enter to win. And then even if not, stay tuned because we will be doing some live giveaways. If you can see behind me and Nathan here, we do have a Plinko board with quite a few different prizes at the bottom that you will have the opportunity to win. So get those fingers warmed up, get those comments, you know, in there, say hello, let us know where you're joining from. Because again, a little bit later, about halfway through, we'll be doing a live portion or a live giveaway. But let's go ahead and get into this first giveaway here. So again, it is that wonderful free motion starter kit. We'll go ahead and do a drum roll and bring them up here.
And the winner of the free motion starter kit is...
Ooh, there we go.
Woo, Carolyn McGilvray. That's what I want to say.
Yes.
Congratulations, Carolyn.
Oh, yeah.
Caroline has a
19.
unique 19.
Oh, great job. So she
Wonderful.
has a 19-inch machine. Caroline, congratulations. You won this free motion starter kit to give you a chance to work through another little bit of a project there. So it's wonderful. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
We'll be reaching out to you since we have your registration, and
Yes.
that way we can schedule to how to get that to you. So thanks.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, now kind of just as we're going through, this next segment is actually some pre-recorded videos that we've done, a couple with Nathan, and then we also have an educational instructor, Carla, that will be doing a video. Nathan, do you want to kind of share kind of what they can expect?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing to think about as we're going to be doing this next series of videos, stay with us. We're going to be showing you a couple things on our hoop style frames. A hoop style frame is something that's fixed. Let's say it's a little bit smaller than this table. The nice thing is you can do any size quilt and any size project, and you can really use any home machine, or you can use mid arms and long arms. And so one of the things that I know that our customers have asked is like, really, how does that work? How do you work through a fabric or a quilt that way? In the first video, I'm going to go through and show you. I'm using a smaller machine. Hans has a 1600 machine that they have available to sell, which is one of the machines that fits into this smaller category. You can consider or think about your home machine. But part of what I'm going to do is show you how to lay out the quilt. I'm not going to show you how to do the pre-part with the fabric. I'm going to work through the project. And so that's what I'm doing in there, is to show you how to mark an area, how to do some free motion quilting, and how you, what we call zone, or we move the fabric at any size across the entire frame. The next one we have, Carla has done this, and the next question is really, it's nice to see how the fabric works with the machine, but really what does it take and how do you prepare the fabric before you place that on the machine? So then we're going to have Carla will share with us how to do that. And then the last thing to stay with us, now think about this, Roswitha and Hans, I'm going to bring you both on. Right now you mentioned that it was maybe raining there a little bit, right, Roswitha?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I don't know across Australia where we're at or how the weather is, but if you're inside, and I know you're getting towards some of your holiday times with that season coming up, I know you're getting out of your cold season, but as part of this, we're going to be doing a demonstration, and I'm going to walk you through the True Cut cutting system, making cutting easier, safer, and more accurate. And as Roswitha said, there's a special on these products. Get yourselves ready, get your phones ready, get your emails ready, because once you see this, you're gonna be like, I have to have it. So LG, that's gonna what we're gonna
Yes.
do. Hans and Roswitha, do you have anything else before we start some of these video demonstrations with your audience today?
No, not at the moment. We're waiting.
If you got big orders, we may do some special on free postage. Depends if the orders exceed a couple of $100 or some kind of value. Yeah, we are very
Okay.
generous with postage.
Good.
So,
Wonderful.
in
So
case
stay
you're-
with us. If you're working, it sounds like you said there might be a couple other accessories you might be willing to do some extra specials. So really, if people are interested, they could reach out. Do you have the number on there? Let's
do,
put the number
yeah.
up. You can give them a call. This is something you can do right now because during the videos, they will be available. You can reach out to telephone number 02-4871 3936. Again, that's 02-487-13936. So you can go ahead and reach out to Know How Sewing Essential, connect with them as well. If you have questions as we go through this, they're ready for you to place orders. You can also place those, you can see there on their website. So with it, let's go ahead and start the videos.
Right.
Yeah. Wonderful. And then I would say kind of as we go through these videos, please, if you have any questions, please
Yep, post
note
them in the
them,
chats.
put them in the chat, because after these video segments, we are going to come back on and help answer any of those questions. So again, please be sure to note those, and we'll go ahead and get started here.
Hi, I'm Nathan Nosnik with the Grace Company, and I'm excited to be back with you today. I would like to talk specifically about attaching the fabric to the Q-Zone hoop frame. Again, you can watch, we have videos that talk more specifically about putting the fabric on, but I'm going to go ahead and attach the fabric to the frame. I have a little bit of an extra backing. This allows us to not have to use leader cloth, and I'm going to use this part to attach it to the frame. I want to make sure that my machine can go all the way to the side and that it doesn't hit the edge. So I do know that this is good on left to right. And I'm also now just going to clip the fabric on the top and again make sure my fabric is nice and prepared, ready for quilting. Once I've clipped this, I'm just going to create a little bit of tension by simply rotating these a little bit. Create a nice little bit of tension on that. Put my side clamp on. And we're ready now to start quilting and walk through how we move from one zone to another. I do want to point out the workspace that I'm going to have with my sewing machine. One thing I like to do is just take a piece of thread. I'm going to pull my machine to the front. And you actually see I got that pretty good. I'm going to move down here to the side. I'm going to put that across so this gives me the visual break so that I know when I'm getting close. And so this gives me my workspace. Okay, here we are. We're going to go ahead and move to a new zone. I'm going to remove my clips and simply adjust by pulling my fabric across the surface. And I would want to lift up my machine's foot so there's no pressure here. I do want to make sure that my thread has been trimmed. I did do a couple back and forth tie-offs in order to make it so that I won't have to worry about that coming unthreaded. So again, I'm just going to go ahead, pull off our clips. Some people will stand up to do this as well. I'm going to just stay seated. You can see how this process works even from a sitting position. I'm loosening the clamps from the throat of the machine here, so I'm going to pull those off. I did have one side tension clamp. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. I'm simply going to just pull this across, and you'll notice it's not very difficult. It glides very easily. I do want to make sure that in my next zone that my machine can get all the way to the end so that I can finish this off. I'm going to go ahead and reclamp this back on. There is no right. You can start left or right or center. And I'm going to go to the middle here. You might wonder, how do I know where it is? If I actually put my hands on the frame, I can feel these bungees. I can actually feel those. I'm just simply putting my hands on here and I can feel that I have a bungee right here. So I'm going to attach that. We're going to come over here and we will then attach this edge so that it's on there. We'll place the two front clamps back on. How I do this, again, is an open hand, so I'm not necessarily clamping or putting a lot of pressure. I simply will just push down. It'll pop on. We'll move over here, same thing. We'll add a little bit of tension like we did when we put that quilt on. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to take our bungee to bring this into the edge. This actually slides right over the top of that, and then that's one of the things that keeps it here. Add a little bit of tension. There's my side tension. We can use two. We do have two for either side. The last thing I'm going to do before I am ready to begin quilting again is I am going to quickly note and try to find out how much space I have. Last time I just simply grabbed a piece of thread in order to hold that across the frame. So I'm going to bring my machine out. I want to put this just a little bit in front of that, and I'll just kind of come down here to my left. We'll do a check. I think we're good. Go ahead and get my clamps back on. Again, wind this up. You'll see as this gets larger, as we get down a couple more rows, this will build up, and I'll talk about how we can continue to quilt with more space by keeping the fabric up on top of the rail. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple back and forth stitches, and we're now ready to move to the next section. I'm going to go ahead and shift it and re-roll the fabric in order to move to my next area. Now, it looks like I'm getting close to the end. I'm going to go ahead and do a tie-off here, but I'm ready now to go ahead and shift the fabric again and move to the next area. As we get down to the end, I'm going to be finishing part of this last row, and we're going to move here to the very end one. I did pin base the bottom of this once I now have it up on the surface so that I can hold it in place. We did work through the entire quilt. The fabric was wider than the frame, whether it be a small throw, whether it be a queen, whether it be a king. This frame allows you to take that across the entire surface, regardless of your machine. Again, this allows you to take that domestic machine and convert it into a quilting system. I always say right now, eliminate the struggle with the fabric, and that is the biggest and the best thing that this Q-Zone hoop frame does, and it does it all in about a 4.5 foot space.
Hi, I'm Carla Jerome and welcome to the Grace Company. Today we're going to talk about installing our fabric onto our Q-Zone hoop frame. Now if your frame's not set up, you can go to the Grace Company website at graceframe.com and find the video on how to help you set it up. We recommend using our cloth leaders, which you can purchase on our website at graceframe.com. Now when you purchase the leaders, what you'll receive are two small little leaders, and what these leaders are for the side pieces. Okay, then you will get your top leader, which has cording in it, and it's for the top of your quilt. And you'll get this large wide one, and it's for the backing, and it's for the bottom of your quilt. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to mark the center of each of these. Unfold it, and you'll see that right here will be your center. So take a pin, just make a little line, and mark it with a C or however you want to mark it. And you'll do that on both pieces of your fabric. Now that you've marked your leaders, we're ready to pin our quilt to them. Now, you may have arthritis or a bad back and you can't bend down to use the floor. Use your bed or the couch or a tabletop. You don't have to lay it out on the floor like I'm doing today. Now, I have room on the floor and I like to use the floor to lay it out. So I'm going to lay out my top leader so that's nice and centered. For your backing, you fold it over and make a crease. And I'm going to take my pin and I'm just going to mark it. That's my center. So now you're going to lay your backing out, wrong side up. So I found my center, and you're going to pin from the center out so that you can keep any wrinkles off your quilt. So you just pin one side from the center out, and then you'll just go to the other side and pin it. I've laid out my backing and it's nice and smooth and everything. I'm ready to put my batting on, because my batting I'm going to sandwich between the backing and the top. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find my center and I'm going to mark it with a pin. You always make your backing and your batting wider and longer, because those two are the things that the pieces that will absorb all your quilting. So just make sure that it's wider. If you have a large king size quilt, I found the easiest way for you to place the batting, because it can stick and you can get wrinkles or whatnot as you're laying it out onto your backing, is to roll it up. I'm going to kind of roll it up a couple of times. So now I've got it all laid out and it looks really quite smooth. So I'm going to start unfolding it. So I'm going to start right here. Start unfolding it and lay it out. Okay, and now I can just take this piece and pull it down. Looks really smooth. So now I'm ready to put my top on. I found my center and I'm refolding it so that I can lay it out. And I'm unfolding it so that the wrong side's showing, so that I unfold it and the top will be showing. You see that I've laid my top down and I've put it down a little bit lower. I just want to make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, so now I'm going to start unrolling it. And I have it close to the center. The pins are on. So I'm going to unroll it, just like I did the batting. And I'm going to unroll it again. And now you can see little wrinkles, so you'll just pull. Now, a lot of these wrinkles, as you're quilting, will come out as well. Okay, so now you have your quilt all laid out and it's sandwiched together. So what I want you to do is pin, just straight pin across so that you can baste it down. All 3 layers, just like that. Just like you were pinning your binding or whatnot down. So we're ready to take the quilt over to our frame. And now that you've pinned it, we're going to fold it over. And we're gonna fold it over one more time to take it over to our frame. Now that you've folded it, you're ready to pick it up, and let's take it over to the frame and get to the fun part, the quilting. Okay, so you notice that my machine isn't on because today I'm just showing you the process of moving your quilt from one section to the other and putting it on the frame. So we're ready to put our quilt on the quilting frame, and we've rolled it up nicely, so we're gonna start on one edge. So I have my quilt here, and I'm ready to put it on the frame. But I'm gonna, because I'm a quilter and I will quilt just like I write, from left to right, I'm gonna hang the excess off that edge of the quilt, and I'm just gonna kind of bring it in and adjust it, okay? And you see that my cording and everything isn't going to go through the machine. So I'm just going to pull it down like this until I take my sewing machine down this direction. So I want to know where I want to put it for my starting point. And my sewing machine is going to tell me if I put it all the way over here. My sewing machine, I can only quilt to right here. So I want to leave a little extra. So I'm going to start placing it right there. So now I'm going to start putting my clamps on. Now you're going to place your clamp just like that in your 3 sections that you have it. Now, you're asking what the cording's all about? The cording is to start helping you roll it. So it gives you that extra little bit that you need when you're clamping this on to hold your fabric. Now, you want to adjust your straps so that they're on nice and tight. Make sure you put this in the clips because you don't want to sew over them. All right. Okay, so remember the little short leaders? Those were for the side. You have 2 of them, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that leader, you're gonna pin it to the edge of your quilt for your side tension. Just quickly do so. You don't need to pin it in a couple, 2 to 3 places, not that many. And then what it does, what it will do is it will clamp over this piece of this pole right here, and she'll clamp the side. So that will give you your side tension. And if you rotate it, just kind of gives you a little bit more tension. So the next thing we're gonna do is take our other piece, and we're not gonna use this because you can see that my fabric hangs over the side because it's larger. And I'm just going to clamp this down on the other side and just rotate it to get my tension. And now we have both the side tensions done. So I'm gonna save this for later. Okay, because we've rolled our quilt up so nice, it's easier to manage. What we're gonna do now is unroll it just a little bit. You don't have to unroll it all the way. All right, so now I'm going to put my front clamps on, and you just place them and you push them straight down. Put the other one on, place it, and then push it straight down. Now I also want to ratchet it, so I want to turn it and turn it. Once you've quilted this section, you're ready to move your quilt and quilt the next section. And because we're quilting like we write, from left to right, that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna take my clamps off, all of my clamps off, and set them off to the side here. And I'm going to unpin my leader. You know, you might think it's a little tedious to take it and move it after you're done quilting, but that's what makes this frame so great, is it doesn't take up all the room, but it allows you to quilt a king-size quilt. Now, we're just going to pull it, because we've quilted our section, and we're just ready to pull it to where we stopped. Okay. So I've pulled it to where I've stopped quilting, and now I'm just ready to put my clamps back on and finish up that section. Same thing. Just place it here. You're just gonna roll it up. Lock it into place. And when you think about it, it doesn't take that long to shift your fabric. Okay, you're ready to quilt the next section. All right, once you've completed that, you're going to do the same process all the way down to the bottom of your quilt. And now I'm going to show you how it ends up. All right, so we're to the bottom of our quilt. You can see that we've quilted, well, pretend quilted, and rolled it all up. Now we're ready to put our clamps back on, our back clamps. Let's place them on. The cording that is on the leaders just makes it easier for you to start rolling your fabric, and that's why we've included them. All right? So you'll start clamping it into place. You might have to adjust it just a little bit looser because it's a lot thicker now. There, you're just gonna do the same thing, the whole same process over and over, which by now you're real slick at it and you can do it in record time. You'll put your leader on the edge. Just pin it. Okay, put my clamp on, turn it. All right, so now we're ready to finish up our quilt. We're gonna quilt, quilt, quilt. You can take it off your frame, put the binding on, and give it to someone you love.
Thanks for joining me. I'm Nathan with the Grace Company. I've been here for several years. I'm a little over 15. I would not call myself a quilter, but I would tell you that I have finished several quilts on my own. I've had some quilts and some large automated quilting components shown in some national fashion shows and other things. So I've had my chance to get my hands dirty and wet a little bit. And today I'm going to be talking about the TrueCut system that solves some of your biggest challenges. You love choosing your fabrics. There's a lot of quilters who love fabrics. You love choosing your patterns. Even the thread process is enjoyable, but once you have to start to cutting them, now, sure, yeah, there might be a very limited amount of you that really love that, but what we find is over time, that becomes stressful on our joints and our hands. In fact, some of the sad things is we've heard stories from quilters who can't kind of do what they love most because they have a hard time cutting. And our product, one of the key things we've looked at is how do we solve some of these biggest challenges? One of our most popular items is what we call our quilter's combo. And this quilter's combo comes with our longest ruler, but it also comes with our ergonomic cutter. The other thing that we include in this kit is our True Grips, and these fit on the back of our rulers. And you can put these on any one of your rulers to help keep anything that you already have from slipping and sliding and help keep it in place. So if you think about this, if you're cutting, it's hard to keep that against that edge. And so this actually has an elevated lip, so it's thicker. It's about an 1/8 inch right here. Our rulers actually have a guide. So what this does is these two components actually lock together so that you don't come off. So if you'll notice, this just sits right on there nice and tight, and they hold together. And what we usually find is that by the time we get down here, the ruler moves on the fabric and the fabric moves, or the cutter tends to veer away. Then we have to come back. We end up having some tails on our fabrics. We have to go back and precisely cut them, and we're losing a little fabric. So this whole process becomes a little bit more challenging. So I'm going to kind of go back to this ruler here. This taller edge is actually safer because it keeps your cutter from going over it. Also, because it's thicker, it gives you a better edge to keep that blade against. So it actually helps make it easier to keep your blade aligned as you go down this edge. You'll notice that there are these holes. This gives us a chance to keep our fingers right on that fabric. We end up with a lot more control over this ruler at the same price as what you're going to find a lot of the other rulers. This ruler does have many additional features. Again, it's a wonderful set and has a wonderful system that makes cutting easier, safer, and more accurate. Let me just briefly talk about our ergonomic cutter here. So if you think about it, we're used to straight cutters. The difference is just where that blade is located. If you notice that, the blade is actually dropped below. So you can still hold the cutter the same way you're used to. You might want to say, well, how would I hold it? Well, by the way, just pick up your cutter. You put your thumb on the top, Are you putting an index, or are you just kind of wrapping your hand around? The same thing applies. We can wrap our hand around. There's a great place here for our thumb. If we're also going to do this with our index, what we don't do is we don't hold back on this. What we're not looking to do is to create additional leverage. What we really want to do is nestle this down in our hand. Those that have difficulty squeezing or gripping. So think about that. How much do you end up with pain in your knuckles or in your finger as it gets extended? What about your wrist? How about your elbow? What about your shoulder? Again, if we're going to cut, what we normally do is we get pressure up over this cutter, and we're doing this in order to create downward pressure for the cut. Well, watch this, watch the difference. So if I go from a straight cutter to an ergonomic cutter, we can take our shoulders from here and we get to relax. And those arms and our shoulders come to the side, and that allows us to take that hand, and now we actually can just do this with a simple downward pressure. So I'm gonna show you this. Let's do this one here. So I'm gonna take, now again, don't do this, but I wanna show you how ergonomic. Now I can literally take my hand and rest on the cutter, and literally with a little forward pressure as we're moving through this, it cuts. What you'll find is that it actually takes less effort to make the same cut because of the weight that your body naturally has as it pushes it through the palm of your hand as you're cutting. And I love to say to people, just go ahead and cut, see how that feels. What's really awesome is that this cutter on its own works just as well ergonomically with what you already have in your sewing room. So you do not need to go ahead and get rid of everything you have. So this cutter can work independently with regular rulers. And let me show you one other really fun thing. The reason it's called My Comfort Cutter is you can actually personalize the handle. So what we can do is you can actually open the handle up, and there is a template that you can use to trace. And a lot of people will put a piece of cloth in here. You might cut a shape that you would like. You might embroider a small piece if you have an embroidery machine. Heck, you might just put Sharpie in there, and then you clip these back on. And so that can be done on both sides of the handle so that it can be personalized. I'm gonna go ahead and cut with just a regular, the cutter without the guide. Now I have the ergonomics. However, this one can still come away from the edge, right? And so this one, we still end up with a little bit of a challenge in trying to keep those all together. What's really nice is if we get the one that has the guide, and this guide actually just rests, if you watch this, it just rests right over that lip. So I'm just going to move this here, open it up. I'm just going to drop that. It drops right on top of that. So we're going to go right down that. So now we get this locked in mechanism, and those two are going to stay together. So I'm just going to put this down to show you. Again, you can feel like you're a little more comfortable because now you have this lip, so it's harder for the cutter to come back up. You may know a friend that's probably been injured by a rotary blade cutter with some kind of an accident, with something slipping because of the pressure. And so again, I just recommend you don't need to be in that spot. Let's get you something that's safer. Let's get something that helps create control, not only at the beginning of the cut, but also at the end of the cut. So those two things stay together all the way down. I have 2 layers of batting, a layer of fabric. This is pretty hardy. It's probably even thicker than when you're cleaning your edges up at the end before you trim and you do your binding on it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this down. I just want you to see here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cut through this. And what we're looking for is that nice, simple, easy forward motion. And we just slice right through that. So that pressure transfers right down onto the work surface, making it significantly easier to cut. This is our circle cutter. Most times if you're cutting a circle, you're tracing it with a bowl. If you have a cutter that probably is bunching, well, this actually has this sled to push the fabric down. I'm gonna just go ahead and hold the center down. And what we do on this one, I'm gonna make sure it's open. We just put down the top and we simply rotate it around, and voila. You're like, did that happen that quick? Let me do that one more time to show you. This thing is amazing. So really every single product in the TrueCut line helps you solve some significant issues that you cannot find with any of the other cutting tools. I'm just gonna do this again. I love this because everybody's like, well, wait a minute, did that just really happen? Again, I'm just gonna move this out. So I just push this down to hold in the middle. I'm just gonna take this, and you'll actually see how that just nicely slices that. If you want, you can take those and we can do a partial cut by doing moons out of them. There are so many other things you can do. If you've ever thought about the pain, the struggle, the challenges, if you've ever let your blades go too long, don't hesitate, don't wait, get into this today. Help yourself feel a little bit better. Increase your confidence, reduce the stresses on your body, get back to love, getting your pieces to the place where you can put them all back together. So go and look at that. Yeah. You wanna bring me on? Oh, good. I'm so glad. By the way, I loved putting that video together with the TrueCut products. I'll tell you, You know, the quick story about this, I tell everybody, the owner came to us, and this has been probably about 12 years. He's like, hey, Nathan, let's go make cutting tools. And I was like, no, there's a million of them. He literally grabbed me by the shoulders. He went like this. He's like, Nathan. Okay, just kidding. He didn't do an awkward stare.
Kept an eye contact.
But he did say, Nathan, let's go find out what the biggest challenges are that our customers are having. So as a quilter, what are they struggling with? What is one of the biggest challenges with rulers? What is one of the biggest challenges with the cutters? And so we looked at all these things, and he challenged us. Let's go find, in essence, even almost patentable solutions, things that are unlike anything we've done before to make cutting. And again, we have 3 words that we've tied into our cutting system. Easy is one. We wanted to make cutting easier. Safer was a big one. So we wanted to make cutting safer, and at the end we wanted to improve accuracy. So with that, every one of our items that we've created, as you've been able to see those, have helped make cutting easier, safer, and more accurate. Now let's go ahead and bring Roswitha back. Roswitha, you can tell us a little bit about the specials again that you're running on the TrueCut products, and then we can kind of bring back up how we might be able to have them and put them in contact with Roswitha as well. So are you there, Roswitha, by chance? Can you hear us at all?
I think it's muted. I think you're muted, Roswitha.
Oh, yes, sorry.
There we go. Thanks.
Here we go. Sorry. Yes, we have that all the TrueCut products on 20% off on special. And also there are some combos which are on special as well, like where you can have different, like the quilting combo, patchwork combo, different combos, which are great addition to your sewing room. And yeah, so, and also the cutie frame and Q-zone hoop frame, plus the leader gloss for the hoop frames are also on special.
Okay, so again, one of the things I demonstrated on the first video as I was using that Q-zone hoop, I did see several people wondering, what frame am I demonstrating? So we actually have 2 different style hoop frames, a couple. One is the tabletop version, which is the cutie, which you can easily store and then you can put out. The other one is the one I demonstrated, again, the Q-zone hoop frame. That one is a little bit wider, and it comes with the fixed legs, which is really nice, and then they are adjustable. So if you do have space, I like to talk to our customers, and they're like, well, why would I go with one over the other? There's a little bit of a difference in the price, but I'm like, if you have a fixed space that you can leave something up in, then I would get the Q-zone hoop frame. If you need to store it and put it away, that's why we made the cutie. So it sounds like both of those are on sale, and then you have some specials as well with the leader cloth. And then I also know selected machines we can also do some stitch regulation on, right, Roswitha? So I think you guys have some of those things available down there as well. Here is the contact. Oh, sorry, go ahead. So yes, you have that stitch regulation unit?
Yes, we do have the new Short Stitch Elite, which the customer and myself love it. It's such a great product.
It is. It's a great way to create even stitches. And so in essence, it regulates the machine speed as you move it across. So it's an accessory with your sewing machines. Down below, you can see, take this down if you're with us, because you're going to see a few other things that you're probably going to find some interest in. Again, everything that we've done as we've talked with quilters are stories that we don't just go and say, hey, we have a great idea, let's do it. Normally what happens is a quilter will ask, hey, do you have something that does this? I'm at home and I'm quilting and I'm struggling with this problem. And so over time, we hear that often enough that our goal is we go out again and look at helping solve those problems to make quilting easier for you. So again, take that information down, www.knowhowsewing, K-N-O-W, and then how, H-O-W, SEWING.com.au. And then therefore, there's the telephone number as well, 02-487-13936. Again, take those down, have them with you. You're going to see a few other things as we move along as well. And then you can reach out to Hans or Roswitha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful, yeah. And so this is, we're just going to take a couple minutes here to kind of help answer some questions that may have come in during that last couple of videos that we really went through. And then kind of just you guys can know what to look forward to is just after we answer a couple questions, we are going to take just a little over a 5-minute break. And then when we come back, we are going to be doing some live giveaways. So everybody, again, get those fingers ready. If you had any questions, now is the time. We would love to help answer them. And I would say, even if you just maybe have a question on Grace products or for know-how sewing, please put those in the comments. We'd be happy to answer them. But again, we're just going to go back through.
I'm going to put one comment up that's not just a question. This is a comment from Michelle Wolgermuth. She says, I don't have full use of my left hand to hold the ruler steady, so I can use this system very easily. And that is one of the key things. What we find is that actually once you can move your hand and you can relax your hand is put up over that. We find that the stability is increased, so you can lightly hold the ruler, but you don't need to use a lot of force because now everything's aligned to make those easier cuts. So I love that comment there. So thanks for sharing that, Michelle. Here's another one just again from Teresa. I love the True Cut system. Again, we've had this for several years. It continues to be a winner. Every time we demonstrate it, we find that everybody has to have it. So I was glad to be able to share with you my video on that. And then here's another question. Bev, yes, this is a good answer because some people might want to know if I'm left or right-handed. All of our cutters you can use with left or right-handed. Even the ergonomic, you can actually just switch the parts out to the other side so you can set it up for left-handed users as well. So I think that's another really good one as well. I'm not sure if you have. Go ahead, Hans.
All three sizes, the 28, the 45, and the 60, of course.
Yep, so you have the three sizes of cutter. So people might want to say, do you have a size that will work best? The most common is the 45 millimeters. But we do have a size larger at the 65 and a size smaller at that 28. That's right. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, wonderful. There were just a couple comments that came up a bit earlier when, Nathan, you were doing your segment on the Q-Zone hoop frame and then with Carla on that. But there's just a couple questions on what would it look like to manage fabric on the Cutie frame. And Nathan, you kind of talked on this a little bit, but it actually is the same idea.
Exact same. The Cutie is actually only about 6 inches narrower, so the fabric is managed and handled the exact same way. The Cutie is what we call a hoop style frame, so a zone-to-zone quilting frame as well, just slightly narrower is all.
Exactly, yeah. And then of course, it doesn't have its own legs. It does have an accessory that you can purchase with those legs, but standard it is just a tabletop version, meaning you can just simply set it on whatever surface you're looking to use it with. But again, really, like Nathan has said, that idea of how you manage the fabric and really even how you would attach those leader cloths, like Carla showed us, is going to be the same for that Cutie frame. And the leader cloth set itself is actually the same set that you would use both with that Q-Zone hoop frame as well as the Cutie frame. So just wanted to make sure we talked on that. But just going through, I don't think I saw any other questions. I don't know if Hans or Roswitha, if you've ever had any common question come up either on that Q-Zone hoop frame or with the True Cut cutting system.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay.
I've also commented, I put the link in the comments on our Facebook page. So for the registration, if somebody, so they don't have to email, they can go into the comments and find the link there as well to register for, to get into the draw to win.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take just a short break. It's going to be just, again, a little over 5 minutes. So, again, make sure you're staying close because we are going to come back on. And when we do come back on, we will be doing some live giveaway. So when you come back on, again, be ready with those questions and with those comments. We'll go ahead and get into this break here.
Stay with us. We'll be back with the drawing.
Yep.
Welcome, Carla here. I'm excited to introduce to you our Pattern Perfect and how to use it. I'm going to start with our basic set first. Inside the basic set is all of your bracket attachments to attach to your carriage and 10 reversible templates. You have your dovetails and waves on one side and your scallops and V's on the other side. And you'll put them together and it makes one seamless pantograph so you can continue sewing all the way across your quilt. These are a new set that we just came out with. These are called Stars and Flowers. The stars and the little flower on one side and some little circles. Let's call it a leaf design. Now I'm going to start my machine. I'm going to continue on. I already started my design and I'm just going to keep following it. Start out a little slow until you get comfortable, and then you can start going a little faster. And you'll get smoother as you go along as you first start. You kind of get the hang of it. And I want to move with it. You're just trying to get into rhythm. I'm coming to the end of my quilt. All right. On your little stylus, just make sure you have it in the grooves. I'm going to show you how the stars kind of nest together. All right, we're going to stop right there. And now I'm just going to measure down just one little bit and come back this way to offset it. And come down. You want to offset this one, so I want to start. And now we're just going to go again. So there's the stars. Try them, use them, they're really fun. There are so many variations that you can use with the Pattern Perfect. Just practice. Put on a practice quilt, put on the different designs, measure them so you get the distances correct, and your quilts will get better every quilt you do. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.
Wonderful. Thank you everybody for sticking with us. We are going to go ahead and do some live giveaways now for this segment here. So I'm actually going to see if Ronz or Hatwitha, if you guys have a question that you would like to ask, maybe a question on one of the, maybe on the short break videos that we had there, or on some of the previous videos earlier we did. Any questions you guys might have that we can, everybody get
something
your
we
fingers
can
ready.
ask our audience and have them respond to.
Yes.
Okay. What are the next two big events in Australia? There's one.
Oh, well, we've never, there has to be something we've told them so they can respond.
Okay, we told them.
Okay.
Haven't told them that. I don't know if we told them. Have we told them that?
No.
But by the way, you can tell us, Hans, what are the two next biggest
Yeah,
events,
you
by
should
the way?
tell
You might
us.
as well tell us.
Yeah, we got a event on.
Okay.
And the track is coming too.
Okay, we have the Quilt New South Wales exhibition, which is on the 21st to the 23rd of October.
And that's on here in Sydney at the Rose Hill Racecourse, and the Grace Company is going to be there, of course. And then the second big event is the biannual Australian Machine Quilting Festival, which is held in Adelaide this year, and that's on in 10th to the 13th of November.
Yeah,
So
those are some great shows. If you're up to traveling, I know Houston will also be right in the middle of that. So maybe you can go to all three. It's going to be a little crazy. I think I'm going to do that. So I think I'll be down there in Australia for both of those, and we'll be in Houston. So, all right. But another question we can ask for everybody and have them post. We'll post an answer here from everybody.
For the the two frames, the QT and the Qzone hoop frame, do you have two different types of leader cloth or the same?
Oh, so she's asking,
question.
we have a couple different hoop frames. Do they have different leader cloths or do they use the same leader cloth? Great question, Roswitha.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question.
Well, you would need one for each, wouldn't you?
One for each. All right. So there you go. The question, while we're waiting for questions to come in, it says, are you coming to Craft Alive Hobart? Anything in Hobart, Hans?
It just clashes
That-
with this local
That's
show.
probably a no. That's all right. Hobart. Is Hobart down south? Is it up north? Is it?
Hobart is the capital of Tasmania, of the other
Oh,
island.
Tasmania. Oh, I've wanted to go. To,
Yes, I know. I would have wanted
Oh.
to, but it clashes with the same dates with this.
Gotcha. But Hobart,
clashes with another
awesome.
event, yes, yeah.
Wonderful, yeah. Looks like
But
everyone's
however,
getting it.
we got this special zone right now. So if you're in the market for some products, we can ship to Hobart. We do have a dealer in Hobart. Stuart Sewing Center is our representative dealer. He is in Devonport, but he will be present at the Craft Life Hobart. Yes, and he will have only a
Teresa,
small.
Tassie is wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful, yeah. Well, it looks like all those comments are coming in. Again, a reminder, that question was, with our hoop style frames, do you use the same leader cloth or is there a different set of leader cloths for each? Now, it looks like all the questions are again, that answer is coming in, so they all are correct there.
You can use the Bev V right down there. I don't know. And then
Let's see.
while you're
Oh.
looking at that, we're going to bring up a winner. If you're going to be a winner, what we're going to do is ask you to email this address. So you'll need to reach out and say mail@knowhowsewing.com.au, mail@knowhowsewing.com.au. So make sure you know that, and we're going to go ahead and announce the winner.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put it up here. So the winner here is Bev Cree. So thinking the leader cloths are the same, and that is correct.
Hi, Beth.
They are the same.
Yep.
Congratulations. Here was something else.
Thanks,
Here's
Dave,
some.
yes.
Yeah, that's great. Here's something else I thought that was a great question from Teresa. She says, can I use my machine on the Cutie frame or do I need your own? You can use your own machine. What's nice is if you start with your own, you can upgrade and put bigger machines clear up to 19 inches on the same hoop frames as well. So in one of the videos, we showed the 19 Elite, and then Hans, I know you guys have several of those 15-inch machines. So they have a selection of machines that work as well, along with some domestic machines, Hans, right? You know, you guys have like that Janome and a couple other models as well that you can
Therese,
also
yes,
put
you
on the
can
Cutie
put
frame.
Therese, yes, you can put your Bernina on the Cutie frame. Yes.
There you go. If you have a Bernina, it can go on there as well.
So
Yeah.
it's
There you go,
it's-
yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just bring up that winner again. So again, it was Bev Cree, so congratulations. So what we're gonna do is actually we have a Plinko board behind me and Nathan here. So there's a couple different prizes here that you're gonna be able to go, but we'll kind of go ahead and depending on what one it lands on, we'll bring up an overview so you can see more of what that prize
So we
looks
have
like.
ruler combos, cutters, threads, combinations of threads, all sorts of things that you're going to get a chance to win. Again, we have a Plinko chip. I'm going to knock it in, so you'll see that this is going to see what will you win, and you are winning
Oh,
the
Cooper Cutter!
Ah! So let's put that up
I'm gonna
there.
go ahead and bring it up here so you can see. So it is that 45 millimeter comfort cutter. So this is actually wonderful because this is what Nathan talked about in that True Cut demonstration, where it is that ergonomic shape for you, where really there's just tiny bit of pressure from your palm. So you simply are wrapping your fingers in under, so you're able to keep your wrist straight and then no pressure from your shoulders or anything. So I think you are just absolutely going to love that 45 millimeter comfort cutter. And then Nathan brought it up. I'm going to bring it up one more time. So this is for Bev here, and then for all those that may potentially win, this is where you're going to want to reach out to so we can make sure to get you your prize. So again, it's mail@knowhowsewing.com.au. It is up there on the screen, and I would say even if you haven't won, take it down because you just might be the next winner here.
This is a great place. If you have other questions after the event as well, you can reach out, talk to them a little bit more about their specials. So take that email down.
Wonderful. Yeah, and then
message to the winner: if you order anything else to go out to be sent to you with this comfort cutter, it's postage free because we're gonna mail this anyway. So Bev, if you order anything else, all our fantastic threads and needles and other rulers, well, you need to follow a ruler with this cutter, so you need some rulers, Bev. So yeah, that's postage free.
Great.
Yeah, wonderful. That's fantastic. And I think just kind of in the spirit of doing some giveaways, let's see if we maybe can do one more here. So I don't know, Rons or Haswita, if maybe you have another question that we can ask them based on something that we've kind of shown them or maybe even gone over.
Can you operate the cutie frame from both sides of the machine?
It's a good question.
Can we talk about that?
So I guess just to kind of help give people an idea. So just like the leader cloths and really managing the fabric is very similar, is really the same between the Q-Zone hoop frame and the cutie. Really the answer is going to be the same whether you're looking at that Q-Zone hoop frame or the cutie frame. So again, that question is, are you able to run a machine?
Looks like we have a lot of correct answers coming through.
And the back. Wonderful, yes.
Take that down. Oh,
okay,
there you go. There you go.
Leave
There
it
you go.
up.
Oh, sorry.
He's getting a little excited over here.
I was making the mail@knowhowsewing flash. There you go. It's flashing for you. Take down that information.
Okay, let's choose a winner.
Winner. Who's going to be a winner?
Let's see here. Okay, yeah, a couple people. That's great. Coming in all over. Let's see. Random generator here. Let's see. Right now. Woo! I'm probably going to say the last name wrong. Is it what? Kath Limlach?
Imlach.
Imlach, yeah.
Thank you.
Imlach.
Wonderful. But yes, sorry, I apologize for that, Kath. But yes, you are correct. You can operate the cutie frame from the front and the back just like you can on that Q-Zone hoop frame. So congratulations. Again, it is up there on the screen. That is who you're going to want to reach out to so we can make sure to get your information and get you your prize. But now, Nathan, if you'll go ahead and do another Plinko drop for us so we can figure out their prize.
All right, here we go. Which slot am I putting it in? And go. Whoa. Stop. Hold it up. There we go. There we go. Where's it going? Where's it going? Oh, a 4-pack of finesse threads. Let's put that one on the screen.
Let me go ahead and bring it up here so everybody can see it. Okay, so this is the 4-pack of solid finesse thread. So this is wonderful. This is actually we kind of talked on during that break. So if you stayed with us through that, we did talk on this. But I don't know if Rons or Haswita, if you wouldn't mind maybe sharing a little bit about the finesse thread, maybe the weight and then how much comes on a spool.
Yes, the weight is it's a 50 weight. And it is a very great thread. It is a polyester, but it is a matte polyester. So it looks like cotton, which is very nice. And there is on the spool, there is 1,500 yards.
Yes. Perfect. Wonderful. It is really, again, if you kind of stayed with us throughout that break, we really call it the perfect size, project size spool of thread. And as you can see there, Roswitha was holding up a lot of different colors to choose from. We have solid, but not only that, but we do have variegated as well.
Yep.
Also, what I would say is if you're interested, Roswitha, I know you have a couple of those thread cards. Reach out to them if you want to see some of the selection. They can help contact you and send you that as well to take a look at all the different colors that are available in the Finesse line. So one thing I love, we created this, again, not because we're like, hey, let's do thread. What we found is that over time, as quilters brought home their systems, as they started quilting larger quilts, they would go to different quilting stores, and what we found is there was not a great selection of the right amount of thread. So you had your 500-yard spools or meters, and then you had these really large cones. And so what we wanted is what we would call project-sized threads. Like your quilts, you're gonna go get a project and a pattern, and you buy your fabrics for that. These have, again, those 1,500 yards, so it's a great, perfect size for one of those mid to large size quilts. You can use a cone on a couple of the smaller ones, and so that way you can choose many different colors or a specific color for a specific project without having to overbuy. So one of the things you saw maybe in the advertisement is you can stack them. They're easy to stack, easy to store. It's extra strong. The color is permanent because it actually is what we call that soft polyester. So it's a very soft, low lint thread that's perfect for quilting.
Yeah, and then, you know, just we are going to do one more giveaway. So if if you want to think of maybe one more question while you're thinking of that question, there was actually one that came in the comments that I think actually brings up a really good point. So it was Mary Jansen. It said, why would you, and this is to the question of why would you want to work the machine from behind when you have more room in the front? So that is a fantastic question. So really, there's a couple of different reasons why someone might look at operating the machine from behind. One of those is, if you stayed with us during that advertisement, is Carla actually went over what we call pantographs. And for that, she was working from the back of the machine. So it is templates that you're able to lay out.
It's a plastic pattern perfects, those plastic template sets. Go ahead, can go on the back.
Exactly, can be used on the back there. And really for that, the reason you use them from the back is because you have table inserts that really, again, gives you a surface to lay those pantographs or those designs down on, so you can more easily do it instead of trying to put it on your quilt top. And then I would say, even if you're looking at paper pantographs, again, it is something that's nice
with
to
a
use
laser to
from
trace
the
them.
back. Yes, so great question. Just a couple of different reasons, depending on what type of quilting someone's looking to do, that really would make them or have them prefer to work from the back of the machine. So great question, or great point there with that. But I don't know, again, if we do one more giveaway, Ron's or Roswitha, do you guys have one more questions for our audience? Oh, perfect. Yeah, Hans brought it up there. That is the pattern perfect.
There you go. Those are the pattern sets that can be used on different tables. If you have a large frame, you would put them all together. If you have one of the hoop frames, you'll put a few of those sections together. And then
they are
you
reversible. They got a different pattern on the back side.
Exactly, yep. So really, that one on one side, it's 4 designs, and on the other, it's 4 designs as well. So really, with that basic set, you do get 8 different designs in total. So that's a really, really great set to get with it there. But yeah, again, I don't know, either Hans or Roswitha, if you guys have a good question. Ooh, I don't know if I have a question.
You can ask one more question. What's it going to be? One more winner right now. We'll do another Plinko drop. I'm getting ready. I'll put it right there.
You know what? Let's, I don't know, oh, do you have a question, Roswitha?
What tool did Nathan use to cut circles?
You know, that's hilarious. I was just thinking of doing something similar to that. So that's
again,
perfect.
which tool did I
to use? So in the True Cut demonstration, what was the name of the tool Nathan used to cut the perfect circles?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Which
one did I use? Oh, there you go. Your hand. That's how everybody does it. Let me go see if I have the right plate. Nope, that's too big. Let me get a bowl. Nope, that's a little bit too small. Cut, 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 cut. So what's the name of the tool that I use to cut circles with?
Ooh, they're coming in.
We're going to probably take all of these as probably correct answers.
Yes, and then just really quickly, as everyone is getting those answers in, just a reminder again, this is who you're going to want to reach out. It's mail@knowhowsewing.com.au to claim your prize. So make sure to note this, and I would say, you know, note it down even if you haven't won, because you might just win now. And then if you are looking to join us tomorrow, we are going to be doing some more giveaways, so make sure to note it down. But let's go ahead and choose the winner here. for this. So really good answers. Everyone's on their game today with the answers. They have got it down. So let's see here if we can do it. Okay, let's see right here.
That's right. I don't know.
So let's just see kind of, we're just letting everyone else kind of have them come in here.
We're getting some interesting answers. The whole product line is True Cut, so that unfortunately won't fully. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna go ahead and do this one here. So it's Debbie Turnbull. It is in our True Cut line. It is called that circle cutter, or really that 360 circle cutter. But yes, it is that circle cutter there. So congratulations, Debbie.
Congratulations. Here we go, Debbie. We're going to do a drop for you. We're going down left side, left side, left side. Oh, that's a
What
good
is it?
one. It's the
Ooh.
square combo.
Let me go ahead and
The
bring
ruler
it up here.
combo set. It's going to be a good one.
Boom, there we go.
There we go.
So Nathan, why don't you go ahead and share with us what are the different size square rulers that she
So
just won?
this is what you're winning. It includes 3 of our best utilized square rulers. The smallest is a 6.5 square. We then have a 9.5 square, and then our largest one is a 12.5 square. And so this is what the bundle is going to be. We're going to include a set of True Grips as well that keeps those rulers from sliding around. So perfect for squaring up all of your different quilt blocks. And so that is what the winner is. Again, please make sure to reach out to mel@knowhowsewing.com in order to claim the prize.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, kind of just going along here, we are going to get into our next couple pre-recorded videos. So next, we're actually going to have Lizzie Allen. She's going to do a part 1 of a free motion feather. So I don't know if you guys know Lizzie Allen. She is amazing.
An award-winning quilter from Australia, one of our
is.
Grace ambassadors. So we love everything about what she does. She helps out Hans and Russ with you down there with tech support calls. Very heavily involved. Here, let's bring this back up. So here you go. Here's some of the things that she has.
That's what we received in the mail yesterday from Lizzie. Some other quilts which we received in the mail. Is that the back side, or is this the
wonderful.
front side?
That's
Oh, that's cool. Very neat.
You pick,
2 in 1.
you pick your back side, you know. Yeah. So nice and colorful. Lizzie has got a couple of Grace machines there, fully automated, the finesse threads, of course. And if you get Lizzie on the phone, you better have some time because she will she has a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud to have Lizzie on board and being a Grace ambassador here in Australia. She helps. She's a troubleshooter. She's a teacher. She's a great person. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. She is. So she's actually going to do, again, this is going to be a part 1. We'll be showing part 2 tomorrow. So if you're interested, please stay tuned. Make sure, again, register if you're not registered so you can be sure to join us for that segment that we will be doing on part 2 tomorrow. But again, it's going to be that free motion feathers. And then actually just in that same segment, we're actually going to have Nathan and another coworker here, Janessa. They're going to talk about some tips to know before you begin quilting. Nathan held up there. There'll be 5 tips.
5 tips to be thinking about before you start your quilt.
Yes, and so we'll go ahead and get right into that video here with Lizzie and then Nathan and Janessa.
Hi everyone, I'm Lizzie Allen from Thimble and Thread Quilting. I'm a Grace Ambassador and a National Educator, and I live in Victoria, Australia. And today we're going to do a fun, creative little class on creating feathers. So thank you for joining me, and let's start. In this class, I'm going to cover 4 or 5 different methods of quilting feathers. As long arm quilters, we sort of feel that the moment we can quilt a perfect, beautiful feather, that we've climbed Mount Everest, we've reached the top. Now, there's several different ways to quilt these feathers. None of them are right or wrong. You will find your preferred method, and hopefully I can show you some of the methods that I started when I was beginning to achieve great feathers. So I'm going to start off with some paper and we're going to draw them. This is a key element to learning how to quilt feathers. For me, even before I start quilting on a big quilt, I will sit down and draw the feather for a couple of different reasons. They all talk about muscle memory, the way to go about it. For me, it gives me direction and confidence that I know which way I'm traveling, what's the preferred way for this particular quilt for me to quilt. So I'm going to get down, and first of all, I'm going to show you drawing 3 or 4 different ones, and then how we take that, we've got the muscle memory, and we'll go over to my machine, which is not in the video, so I'll just move up. So this is Grace. She is my Unique Pro 21. We are best friends. Love her to the moon and back. So hopefully when I quilt on the machine, they'll be nice and clear and help you on your journey to creating fun and stunning feathers that are to die for. So let's get started. Okay, so I've got my piece of paper and I've just got a black marker, and I'm going to draw what is known as the traditional feather. Now, I can actually quilt better than I can draw, so just stay with me. Now, the traditional feather is what we call a backtrack feather. So what we essentially did was we quilted the spine, so we just have a curve. Then we put a teardrop actually on the top. And then what we were to do is backtrack back down the spine. And then I like to refer to this as like half a heart. It's a teardrop again, and basically you would draw half the heart, and then you would backtrack back on that feather and come in, back to the spine, in, travel further down, backtrack and around. And the idea of drawing is you want to draw it the way you would quilt it. So essentially, you don't really lift the pen up. You want to get that fluid movement. So it's up and back, up and back. And these were traditionally found on a lot of the older quilts that are out there, and you'll notice that they're quite thin and elongated. So we travel and then we go back. Now, some quilters can come over to the left-hand side and start going in the reverse. So you travel back down, and just move the paper so you can see a little bit better. So travel back, and you've got to bring yourself down, make sure that you connect to this spine, and travel, and travel, and travel. Okay. And you're down at the bottom. One of the other ways of doing it is simply quilt your spine with the teardrop on top. Then travel back down to the bottom. So you'd be traveling back down in this direction. And then you would do the same thing. So you're backtracking. They get very short. And when you are up the top, a lot of quilters would travel back down to this position and do the same thing, backtracking. And what that means is that you end up with 3 rows of stitching on the spine, so it can look thread heavy. Some people will actually quilt in the opposite direction, so they will start here at the top, quilt their spine so they're at the bottom, and then start their backtrack feather. Get to the top and actually place their, I call this the teardrop at the top, and then travel back down. Okay, and then start the feather. One of the other things that you can do if you plan to echo is start here at the top, do your spine, travel down, do the right hand side of the plume of the feather, and then after you've done your tier here, instead of traveling back down the spine if you're not confident, you can actually sneak out and echo your way back to the bottom. And it's great because our quilting feet are 1/4 inch, so using your foot as a guide, you just literally echo back. Then you're down at the bottom again and you can do the left hand side of the plume. Then of course, do exactly the same thing, sneak your way out and echo back down to the bottom position. So when I started and I was really nervous and I just wanted to do feathers, one of the things that I did to help myself was I started at the top and I did my spine, came down. And what I did is, just to get the motion, I literally quilted just the plume. And what you'll see is this is not a backtrack feather. So it was okay because none of them were backtracked. So and then it gave me that fudge factor. So if everything's the same, it looks like I've done it deliberately. I don't actually have to worry about the fact that I wasn't backtracking, and then I would travel back down to the bottom and do the same thing. And when they're all put together, they do look okay. I'm really happy with it because it's uniform. So I'll just flip over. To get the motion in my head and to decide how I was going to do this, we usually have mastered the pebble and the curlicue. So what I did is I'd start at the top and I'd create the spine and I'd come down. And this is what I called the hook feather. So what it was is I could go hook, back, hook, back. And what this did is this taught me to stop at the tip of the top of the plume here, but also to travel back to the spine here and connect. And then what I did is I just keep traveling up to create that hook feather. It was just a little bit more forgiving. And then to make it more interesting, because I was so nervous about backtracking back down this spine, because this was a double line hook, I would do my hook at the top, which would be normally my teardrop, and I'd come in, and what I'd do is as I travelled back down, using my foot as a guide, I did a double spine. So there was no backtracking. Now I'm back at the bottom and I can once again do my hook feather. And, you know, it's perfectly okay if I didn't want to echo to stop in this position. Just lock off those threads and bury them later. So that's what we traditionally call a fancy feather. It's a hook feather. It's not what we would normally call a traditional backtrack feather, which... and then do mine. Now, it's taken me years to decide to be able to go up the right-hand side and down the left. It's all part of our journey in learning that muscle memory. Now, the other one that I want to show you is what we call, a lot of people call the hump and bump feather. And this has become one of my favorites because it's very hard to when you have a border that's actually quite large. When you do this traditional feather with the plume and it's a backtrack, it's very hard to travel all the way out and then travel all the way perfectly backtracking when they're very long plumes. So this is the fun thing about this new method that I'll show you, which is what we call the hump and bump feather. So basically, once again, I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to draw a spine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the red pen and draw some registration lines where I want this feather to come out to. So I'm down here at the bottom, and once again I have to create that half heart. So I'm going to go up and travel and come back, and I've created the first plume, and it's much easier to travel that far and out. And then what I do is you sneak back up the spine, but this is the hump. And then what I'm going to do is I'm only going to backtrack to the top of the plume and come in and create another one. And this is why we call it the hump. So then I travel up, create the hump, travel back and in. And you can see I can really bring this plume out, especially on a wide border. So that's a hump back, and then basically it's entirely up to you whether you travel back down the spine and push yourself out. So naturally I need that half heart and then hump back. And you can actually see that these have got quite fat. So when you want a custom quilted border and it's a 6.5, 7 inch border, these are really, really easy to push out. But I'm going to go over to the machine now and I'm going to show you how I stitch some of these out, and I'm going to show you how we do them, how I break them up in borders, because giving ourselves some registration lines and what I call cheaters, so my brain will see those and help me intercept what I actually need to do. So let's go over to the machine and stitch out some fun feathers. Okay, so the first feather I'm going to show you is what I call the hook feather. So I'm just going to come up here and just do a nice gentle curve to start off with, lock those stitches off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to travel down the spine and we're going to create our first hook. Nice and round, travel back. Nice and round, travel back. Travel back down the spine. And then round and to the other side. And then when we get to the top, I'm just going to put a nice little hook in the top. Travel back down and lock those threads off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sneak across here and I'm just going to draw. And we'll do what they call the traditional feather. So let's lock those off. Now, once again, I'm going to start at the top of the feather. And I'm going to just trim those, come down. Now, remember, the traditional feather is what we refer to as the backtrack. And so a lot of people found it really hard to travel out. So, of course, we start out with our first plume, half feather, half heart, whatever you want to call it. So here we go. And then we have to backtrack up that spine. Travel back down and of course come through to the other side. Now it's really interesting, so if you get to this point and you think, well, if I travel back round and I'm going to end up with a space in here, one of the fun ways of filling it is to do this. And of course, just lock those threads off and trim them. And if you prefer to bury your threads, which is what I like to do, that's perfectly okay. Now let's stitch out a hump and bump. So we'll just draw a nice little area with the spine. Okay. Alright, so locked those off. Well, I think I just cut my needle thread. No? Okay. Alright, here we go. So, doing the spine. Then our first half heart. Travelling up. Doing our hump. Our bump. Travelling up the spine. Hump. Bump. Travelling. Hump. Bump. Back down our spine. Our first half heart. Bump. Now you just saw it is easier with the hump and bump to bring them back down into this area. And then of course a little teardrop and it's finished. And just trim those. So now you know why a lot of people really, the hump and bump became so popular. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a border hump and bump. So this is our border hump and bump, and I have drawn some registration lines just so that it gives me an idea, and it should also actually help you guys. So of course the first thing I want to do is I'm going to start down here, and this is if I was going to do like a continuous border right round a quilt. So here we go. So of course I'm going to do the spine. Now I've reached my center point, so at this point is where I put my tiering, and then I can start my hump and bump. And of course, at this point, I'd travel just back, lock off those stitches, and go back to the center and do the other side of it. And when you're doing a big border on the quilt, it is worthwhile stopping and starting and locking them off, especially if you don't want your spine to look really, really thread heavy. So here we go, we'll do our So you can see that I've stopped the feathers at that junction point, that registration. So in. I'll just hopefully you can see I did a better job here because I travelled further round the point, and that so when I did it up the top there, I didn't come round far enough in this direction. And it's something that we learn over time to just keep trying. So I bring it round to that junction. Makes for a much nicer feather. So that's the first one that we do, showing you the 45 corner, and this is great. This is what I'd predominantly do on a quilt that I really didn't want to turn the borders. I would just literally do my feathers as I went along. And of course here's the junction in the center, so naturally I'd come down to this end and once again start. My tier, start my first hump, bump. And you can see this is much better than over here. It's never ever be frightened to warm up before you start a quilt. So in the morning, if you want to do feather borders, just pop a bit of scrap on, get your muscle movement and your mojo in, and honestly, they'll start to be the easiest things that you ever do. Okay, so I'll just move that out of the way. And let's see if you can get it. So you can see, so that's just the hump bump feather. It's really quite fast. So let's have some fun, and I'll show you some sashings. Okay, so this is a great one for a very wide border when you think, oh, I'm not going to be good enough to fill it completely with feathers. It also adds reference and interest to our quilt. So I'm going to use some of my budget circles and ovals, and I'll just show you how I would create a quick little swag. So here we go. So I'm just gently guiding the ruler, the foot of the machine against the ruler. There's no pressure at all. You don't have to bear down, just be relaxed. And now I'm just going to gently go back. And now I'm going to create a feather because I want to go in a continuous line. I would swag right across the top of the quilt, and I'd do all the feathers at once. So I can even use this as a spine, or I can just simply have a little fun, maybe put a nice curl in there, double spine, and so this is a hump and bump. Travel back down, and of course do the other side. Travel back down, and then all I do is, using my ruler, because I probably wouldn't have ditched this line, and this is how I would ditch it to go to the next position. So I've now ditched the top of my sashing, so I'm really happy. Now let's do sort of, some people don't like doing double-sided feathers, so you could do, I'll get a smaller oval. We can do just a single-sided feather. So then I'm just going to travel up. Okay, and then basically, instead of double-sided, I'm just going to do it single. So once again, hump and bump.
Hi, welcome. I'm Nathan Erznosnik with the Grace Company, and today I have a special guest with us, Janessa, and it's Kimball, right?
Janessa Kimball, yep.
She's been here with us for a while. I should know that all the way, but I just call her Janessa. It's Janessa A, and she's involved with a ton of meetings. But Janessa, I approached you the other day, and I thought, hey, if we were going to talk to a set of customers, quilters out there, that I said, can you come up with 5 things, right? 5 items that you felt you would say, I wish I would have known this before I began.
Yes, and I am the queen of making mistakes as I go through and trying to learn through those. And so kind of picking your brain to see how I can avoid some of those in the future, and hopefully you can learn from those too and don't have those same issues.
So stick with this. If you've ever wondered if you began part of a quilting process, if you've considered maybe using any one of the Grace Company products, if it's a frame, maybe a machine, we're going to talk about 5 items. So stick with us because we're going to solve some of those bigger challenges. I know the first one, maybe just to give you an idea out of the get-go, and let's kind of answer this one. One thing you talked about is as you began, you were quilting and you started finding out that your machine ran into some barriers. Tell us a little bit about your experience and what that really means for our quilters out there.
Yes, so I can show you the little project that I was working on. I was doing ruler work on this here, and I was doing a circle. And in my brain, it made sense to me that this frame showed how much area I could quilt in when it was actually not the case, right? We have to remember the carriage and stuff, and there's other things blocking. And so I was going around thinking I was just fine and hit into the back of it.
Let's do this. Let's go to the close-up camera again and maybe just demonstrate with your hand part of what that was again so they can kind of see what was going on in the frame then.
Okay.
What were you doing?
So like I said, I thought that I had all of this quilting area. And so I was going around and it hit right over here. I thought I could make my design go all the way here, and it was not the case.
That is the case. Now I know you can hit at the front and the back and potentially the side. So that's something that happened. Tell me first, what was the thought when that happened? What were the first thoughts that came to your mind?
Your heart just kind of drops on the floor, right? You're going along, you're feeling so good, and it's going so beautifully, especially when you're doing a nice curve line and just right there.
Okay.
It's heartbreaking.
So one of the questions I think that you brought up, if I were to repose this, right? How or what might we do to avoid that? And we're going to dig into a few other questions as we come up that look at a little bit more on laying out and then using other types of tools. But right now, let's talk about a couple basics. I have a couple insights that work. If you decide that you're looking to use your domestic machine and you're feeling that you have a tool. So like we have behind us, this is our Quilting tabletop frame. This particular frame is one that does not require any dedicated space. You can put it up, you can take it down. You'll notice on this one, we have a little brother machine that's just sitting on top of the carriage, and you notice that it had this nice motion. Well, part of this motion we're using, and there's this great freedom that happens, but then potentially there's the limits of the machine. So one of the things I like to do, and I'm going to reach over here, reach into my bag of tricks over here. And what is this? This is just a simple ball of yarn. And I'm going to show you a couple things. Now, I do have a video, as I might have mentioned, that you can go ahead and you can see how I've used this. I actually just used a piece of thread. Yarn is better. It's actually a little bit more bold and a little bit more visible for you. But I'm going to kind of come over here to this frame, and I'm going to show you. So what we do is, you go ahead and stay there. It's all right. This has the stopping point. So what I do is I just take this piece of yarn, and I actually just put it on the frame where that machine know that it can't go farther. And then what I like to do is I do the same thing. I just move to the front. Now you can use a pin or something else to hold it in place. I just used this, and we know that the machine will come to here and it stops. So now what I end up with, and I go all the way across my quilt. If I had this, I would just drape it over the side as an example here. So as we're quilting, we can move our machine over and do the same thing. We can come here and see that this is about the extent of which my machine. This gives me actually a visible workspace that keeps me within that. And so that I do know, one is if my fabric is placed on there and I want to quilt, did I need to move my fabric farther? And two, as I'm going, am I getting close to the limitation of what that machine has as a whole? So that's something that I love to have, a little bit of a trick. That's something you can take with you as well as you move and begin more of your quilting at home and in your preferred place. Next question. I know that you have done a little bit of ruler work.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that experience, and then I'll ask you a couple of questions. So tell me, what have you experienced with ruler work?
I love ruler work. As everyone knows, I'm like a serious perfectionist. I want things to be nice and straight and even, so I love, love, love ruler work. One thing that I guess I didn't quite think about is, again, with the ruler base, it tends to sometimes limit your workspace a little bit more, where again, I thought I had all this room to work with, and bam, my ruler base hit the front of my frame. So that's another thing that I've run into.
So I'm going to come with an answer and a solution to that. But let's first continue. What has ruler work helped you with? Do you feel a little bit more empowered? Do you feel, because you like that exactness, that it's giving you a little bit more confidence? Maybe share, why have you done ruler work, and why would you do more ruler work with our quilters out there?
Yeah, I think, again, as a very beginner quilter, it gives me that the ability and the confidence to make something look really nice and neat and exact and professional on my own. So I really enjoy that aspect of it as I work on my feathers and everything that we'll see someday. It might be a minute, but we'll see it.
So let's grab me your pumpkins. Let's show the audience this one more time. Now, was this a combination? Did you do any ruler work for just cutting? Did you do any ruler work for quilting part of this? What was What was it that you did with this?
Yes, this was kind of an ensemble of every technique that I could kind of compile into one. So I used our TrueCut 360 circle cutter. I used our regular TrueCut cutter for the stems here. And then I did ruler work quilting, and I used a circle template on these here.
Well, all I know is, to your point, I've done a limited ruler work. I'm an automated guy, so I like designing automation. But I know that when I've used that, it has provided me with some confidence because, again, what rulers are, I have one here. Let me kind of grab this. This ruler is something that you can put on or in by the needle of your machine. Now, there are certain things required. You do need a different foot. And whether you're doing that on a domestic machine or whether you're doing that behind me, I have our 15R machine. Here, you can get rulers for pretty much all of the different machine sizes that are out there. But let me give you a couple quick tips that I would like to talk about regarding the Grace frames and when you put a ruler base. Now, I'm also going to say, reach on out there. If you're using a domestic machine on a frame like this, again, this is a brother BLQP, I think is what we call it, 1500 here. This particular one allows you to have 9 inches of space and you can use your foot pedal. But with this, you can get a ruler base for your machine on any one of these Grace frames. And so we've reached out. So Steady actually created those. So if you thought, boy, I've done ruler work with my machine at home, can I use and do that same ruler work on the frames? You can do ruler work on the frames if you get one of those bases.
Okay.
But here's one of the secrets. When this machine moves forward and back, if there is an extra base that's a little bit wider, well, what do? One of the easy things is if we take this rail, we can actually easily move it out farther. And by simply pulling that rail 1 inch or 2 inches farther, you'll then get the additional clearance that you're going to need in order to move that machine as far forward as you need. The same thing is applied when you add the 15-inch machines on these and even the 19s. Our frames have adjustable rails that can be pulled. They can be pulled out in fronts to give you more depth. And so that would be my recommendation for anybody that uses a frame. If you find that there's not quite enough space, go ahead, extend that front arm out. That'll give you the full working space of that machine. Now, again, my recommendation, if we were sitting, that we would use a chair that's a little bit higher so that we can kind of be up on that surface to see down versus having that surface a little bit higher. So that's something with ruler work. If you've done any, fantastic, keep up with it. If you're not quite sure, I would encourage you to reach out, talk with your dealer a little bit more about what they have regarding accessories for using rulers with your domestic machines and also for your long arms. So,
and I like that idea, again, using the yarn to map out that workspace once again, because it's going to be different, and just reminding yourself once you've got that ruler base on that it's changing and what you're used to maybe isn't the same anymore.
And I like that. Now you'll notice that some of the things as we move forward will continue to be great practices as you move. That's a great one, regardless really of how you're quilting. To know your space is an important one. One of the other questions we talked about that you brought up is, Nathan, I really wish that someone would have talked to me briefly about the size of my pattern or a little bit on the planning. Why don't you share a little bit on what your experience has been with that with our audience?
Yeah, I think kind of similar to what I talked about earlier is I had this vision of what I wanted it to be in my head and hadn't worked through what my workspace actually was or what my frame or machine would really allow. So kind of coming up with some solutions for how to kind of conceptualize that and plan it out beforehand and your size of design.
Now, I know one thing that you did, again, this is a domestic machine, and I'm guessing you've sewn. Have you sewn on one of these yet a little bit on a frame? Have you had a chance at all to sew it all?
Yes, I've done some on a frame, and then I also did some free motion with it, not on a frame, and woof. It was tough. It was really tough because I was finally feeling pretty confident. I started out actually getting to use our frames, and then I went back and just did some free motion with just a domestic machine and a free motion foot. Holy cow, it's tough, right? Because it's backwards from what you would think with our frames. You're moving and it's like you're drawing. It's the muscle memory that you've practiced forever and ever. And when you're moving the fabric, it's tough. I have so much respect for the ladies who are talented at that, because whoa, it's really difficult.
It does take a talent. Now with that, think about your designs again. I remember, and I think what you shared with me once is when you were using the domestic, what you ended up doing is just finding smaller patterns, right? Yes. So you ended up kind of shrinking those patterns down to fit into your space. And one of those, I'm guessing once you use the larger, I think there's a little bit of freedom.
Yes.
I can do a little bit more. There are a couple secrets that you can do if you find that there's a particular pattern. Not all patterns can be done this way, but if you feel that there's a quiltable pattern that you really enjoy, if you think about this, if I do a set of loops if you were to flip those on top of each other, that pattern can look a little bit larger by mirroring those patterns. So there are options of taking smaller patterns, even a simple scallop. If you were to reverse that scallop and use them point to point, you actually can create what looks like a larger pattern, even though as a whole on a domestic machine, let's say I have about 4 inches, I'm doing a pattern across 4. Once I move my quilt down, if I do a mirror image of that going back across 4, I actually end up with an 8-inch pattern. So that's the way a lot of quilters will finish quilts, is they'll choose a small pattern, but by mirroring it top to bottom can make that pattern look a little bit larger. And it's a way to expand in a space. So if you have an 8-inch block, so instead of feeling like I need to go find just a 4-inch pattern and only do a complete set of patterns within 4 inches, maybe you can do half of an 8-inch pattern. And by doing half of an 8-inch pattern, even though it's an 8-inch block, do that first bottom part first, move your fabric. You can then go across it by flipping that pattern to the top. One thing that's great with the frames, depending on your machine, you can also get lasers as accessories. And so these handles in both the machine systems allow you to work from the back. And so you can place those across the fabric and do it. Certain machines and certain frames, like this is our Q-Zone hoop frame. This carriage is a little bit different than our cuties. That one you can actually bring the laser and work in front of your work zone as well. So some people might say, hey, these are great frames. Is there any advantage? You get, I call them conveniences when you move to the next level frame. So consider that. You can get lasers. You can do pantographs. There's plenty of books out there that talk about combining multiple small patterns to create larger ones. So that's a great thing to think about as a little bit of a tip on how to fill your space if you feel you're limited with your pattern size. Awesome. We have a couple more questions here we're going to go through. One of those I think was, and we kind of briefly started talking about this. This was the ease of moving your fabric or the machine. And I think this one had to do with you trying to do lines across the fabric, I believe. Explain to us a little bit more on what you were finding as a difficulty so they can understand, and then we can talk about potentially some solutions.
Yeah, so the quilt that I was working on is a strip quilt. So it was a lot of just kind of straight lines across, and then I was quilting it just that way as well. And I found that as I was moving and rolling my fabric, it wasn't so straight by the end. Really halfway through, if I'm being completely honest with you. So yeah, just some solutions for being consistent with keeping your fabric really straight.
So a couple things I would like to talk about is there are some potential rule of thumbs out there. If you want to be really specific, one recommended piece is once you take your quilt top, if you were to lay it down on your batting, if you actually were to do so and previously lay it out and make some lines on the edges. So what you do is a small mark on the fabric and on the batting, and then you can actually do that on the backing. What that does is that does give you some items as you're moving through your quilt to, one, make sure that it's staying aligned together, and two, to create positioning potentially on rails. The other one that I like is if you just think about if you do have strips on all of these frames, and if we can kind of do a little bit of a close-up, this is going to be a little bit different here. Or we're not going to really do this. I'm going to point out, but on this one as an example, this one here has this rail. And if we were to drape fabric over that, even though we have part of it coming to the side, these are square rails. You can kind of look and say, is the same strip and the same line even from left to right? The other thing I like to do is before I quilt, I like to pull my machine all the way to its maximum spot, or you can push it back. By pulling it to the maximum, checking and then moving the machine across, you can determine how aligned that is. These frames do have a, on the ratchet, you can create a little bit of tension, so that does allow you to have a little bit of play. The other wonderful thing is frames like the Q-Zone hoop and more, they actually have channel locks. Now, the fabric does need to be put on straight, so that's one of those components. And but you can lock the channel lock, go from A to B, make sure the fabric is lined, and then you can kind of work that as part of your lines as well. There's a couple other hints. I'm not going to talk about them a lot, but there is ways of, I call it fabric surfing. And what that means is once the fabric's on, you can put pressure behind or in front of the foot. And what it will do is it will slightly pull the fabric back or forward to create some of that evenness, even though I've not really pieced a quilt and I'm not sure I want to. I don't think I could sew them straight. They're going to look all wonky and crazy. But we might not start with them straight. And that's a great way to kind of help pull and push fabric a little bit. Front to back. The other thing that's great is these clips give you that chance to create a little more tension left or right. You have any other thoughts or questions on that?
No, I think that's great advice because, yeah, as a relatively beginner piecer too, those are good little tips and tricks to help. And I love the idea, again, I love things that are nice and straight and exact, drawing those lines on the batting. I think I'm excited to try those.
Well, that's great. So the last one was this question about tension. And this isn't how do I manage tension, but how do I check that when
Yes.
my machine and my fabric's on my machine. And I think you had a pretty good idea on the large ones, right? Why don't you share what you would do if you had a large king size quilt, or king size frame and you were doing a quilt? What might be a way for you to access and see how your tension is?
Yeah, well, those ones are really nice because you can just pop over to the side and just kind of glance under, right? But with some of these ones where, like especially hoop frame where you've got it all over, how do you get under there? I mean, I'm relatively young and I don't want to climb under the frame. That's not super fun or enjoyable. And I also don't want to take the time to take my fabric off. I just made it all nice and straight, or attempted to. So yeah, I would love some ideas for that one.
So now these aren't any necessarily the best in the world, but I had a couple.
Okay.
One is a lot of times you might have just a small pocket mirror. That could be something that you have as the other half of a makeup piece. One great thing on a frame like this with the cutie, that fabric rests up to the front. What you can do is you can take that and kind of put that underneath. And what I mean by that is, don't go start at the back of your frame. If you do have some quilting, move to where you can start on this. Instead of like this one, this is open on the left and finished on the right. This one actually lets us add a piece of fabric to the side where we can test sew. And if we do test sew, then you can pull it up. If we were in the middle and we were going to start with this, my recommendation would be to do a little bit of quilting, stop, leave the needle down. And what you can do if you're more comfortable is you can actually pop off part of this and lift to see, but you can use your mirror to help see so you're not having to be as awkward. Again, there's a couple different tricks that people have when there are mirrors. In fact, some people have invented cameras. The biggest thought is don't be afraid, because I'll tell you, you'll be a lot more frustrated if you will have done an entire row and you forgot to drop the feed dogs. Has anybody done that? Yeah, I've done that too. So that's not a pretty one, but that's a lot of them picking. But if you were to begin and you do a small section, pause, again, first fill and see how it feels, because there is definitely a drastic difference in the feeling of something when the presser foot is down than not. That's the first. And if you feel there's something a little bit odd, I would recommend, because these frames are so easy, as an example, to pop on and off the fabric with these, you can just literally just pop this off is what I would do. I would go ahead and then just flip this up over the machine and just take a look at that. Take a gander underneath your quilt there. See if you find that there might be something a little bit off. And that, again, that's just a good rule of thumb. If you have enough space on the side, I always recommend pin a little piece that is the same makeup of your fabric and do a sew off piece there so that you're confident. Then again, move that over your fabric to begin. So with that, those are a couple of the highlights. Janessa, I know you've had an adventure. You've been here with Grace Company now for a few months. You're moving through things. You've been doing a phenomenal job. It's been fun working with you when it comes to the education. I know you've been doing a lot of learning. Is there any last piece you'd like to share with our quilters out there that are bits of wisdom from Janessa here, from our artists, our viewers?
Oof, I don't know if it's bits of wisdom, but I guess just encouragement. Keep going. It gets easier, and I don't just enjoy the process, and I guess just learn from your mistakes and be willing to share those with others so that they can learn too. But yeah, thanks.
Well, wonderful. With Grace Company, we would encourage you, if you have questions, again, reach out to your local dealer. Let's go ahead and find out. They have great resources. They have wonderful staff members that can help answer your questions. Also, if you've thought, as we mentioned, that there is a simplicity in the process of moving a machine over the fabric. If you have a machine at home that you're using, that you've even pieced one quilt, it might be 3 and it might be more, and you're like, hey, I need to finish these. I would recommend that you look at a couple tools that simplify part of the quilting experience for you. They can be affordable. We have items like this cutie that start under $1,000. We have combos with machines that start in the mid 4,000s. And the nice thing is, from Grace Company, is Janessa, we want you to begin where you're most comfortable and what you can afford. And the nice thing is you can always build. Again, I'm not wanting to spend a lot of time, but a frame simply like this can be stored, and when you're prepared, you can use your domestic, but you can add automation. Certain machines you can do stitch regulation, and it will hold also 15 and 19-inch machines. So just know that your journey is beginning. Again, thank you for joining me. Thanks for a couple of these questions. I really enjoyed the chance I had to meet with you before, and thanks for helping walk our quilters through that. With that, again, Nathan Erznosnik and
Janessa
here with Grace Company, and we look forward to sharing more with you here in the future. So feel free to contact, again, your local dealer for any additional information that we can help you on your journey. Thank you again.
Wonderful. That was a wonderful segment to be able to see with Lizzie Allen, really taking us through the process of what it looks like to do feather work, and then to have Nathan and Janessa share some really 5 tips to look at before you start quilting. And I know tomorrow I'd encourage you all to join, because we will have a part 2 with Lizzie Allen on that, where she kind of goes a little bit further into what it looks like to do those feather work and all that with it. So really wonderful. And so kind of as we're moving along, I'm just going to give you kind of a quick layout of what the rest of this time with us looks like.
Okay.
And kind of what you can anticipate. So really right here, this is just a small little segment, again, to say thank you to Lizzie Allen for her wonderful work and for being able to share it with us. But kind of just following us here, we're actually going to have a demonstration with a new TrueCut product we have. It's called the TrueCut Travel Kit. This is a really fun one. It's a fun segment. It actually has Jana and Jarek in it. It's really fun. You'll be able to see kind of what is included with it, and really the benefits of being able to take your cutting products on the go. And then we'll also have a segment where Nathan and Carla will talk about the new Sure Stitch Elite that Raswitha kind of had mentioned, at the beginning, that they really just love, or that she loves, as well as the customers she's talked with on that.
Yeah. Make sure to keep your questions coming. We're going to still respond in those comments, and then we have a couple giveaways that we'll be doing up here shortly.
Wonderful. Yeah, well, we're going to go ahead and just move into, again, the next segment where we'll talk about that TrueCut Travel Kit, and then that Sure Stitch Elite with Nathan and Carla.
Well, hello there, Jana and Jarek. Do you love using your TrueCut cutting products? Great. Well, pack it all up, because we're going on a trip. Looks like a lot of hassle, Jana.
How am I supposed to carry all of this?
Don't forget all your cutting mats. What is this? Where are all your cutting supplies, Jarek? And where did you get such a fashionable bag? Jarek? Oh shoot, where did all your pins go? Aw, how inconvenient. Now you get to play Find All the Needles Before Mark Steps on Them. Whoopsie daisy. Oh, Jarek, did you drop your pins too? Now you get to play Find All the... Wait a minute, there's that bag again. What kind of shenanigans are you up to? Aw, what's the matter, Jana? Do you wish the Grace Company would, I don't know, make a portable cutting kit in the form of a stylish carrying bag that not only has everything you need, but can also travel with you wherever you want? Oh wait, we totally did that. Introducing the TrueCut Travel Kit, the stylish on-the-go cutting companion. The mini home cutting station you can use in your car, at your friend's house, at the park, in a public library probably, while you're waiting in line at the grocery store. Sure, pretty much anywhere you want to take it. Complete with true grips, ruler, pencils, seam ripper, magnetic wristband. Holy cow, that's a lot. Whoa, there's more? Does all that really fit in there? Go from this to this. Built to last and looking good doing it. Travel with the confidence of a true cutter with the new TrueCut Travel Kit.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you really enjoyed that infomercial. We had fun making it.
Maybe a little too much fun.
Maybe a little bit too much fun, yeah. So we're really excited to talk to you today about our TrueCut Travel Kit. I'm so excited. I'm Jana.
And I'm Jarek, and we call ourselves
the JJ team here on the sales department. So we're excited to have you here with us. We're going to talk about this new TrueCut Travel Kit. Nobody else has seen it. This is the first time. We just barely saw it not too long ago, even though we've been hearing about it for, Jarek, you were saying for years almost.
Yeah, I worked here for several years, and they were just talking about this. It's kind of been an idea, and they were starting on it even back then. So I know this has just been a long time in the process, and I know it's because they were really excited and they really wanted to get it right to bring you the perfect experience.
Without further ado, let's get going into it.
Please don't delay any longer.
Don't delay. I know. It's like it's sitting here. It's a time bomb ticking. Yeah. So first off is the packaging, and we worked really hard on getting something that was sophisticated, reinforced stitching on the handles, on the zippers, everything. It's all labeled TrueCut. We've got the seals. Also, the zipper pulls have TrueCut on them. It's even though it's super durable, it's also soft feeling. It doesn't feel like
real durable but soft.
Yeah. It's not like those hard cases that have like those luggage pieces that you're just like leaning against a wall or something. It looks really nice and cute, right? Okay, so let's open it up.
Very fashionable.
Very
functional at the same time.
Yeah. So the two zippers help it open up all the way. So here's our reveal. Look at that. I'm so excited. Yeah.
You know, the first thing that I see here, and that's what I'm going to point out right now, that is this thank you card. It says thank you here, and I just want to remind everyone we are so appreciative of all of our customers, and that's one part I love about working for the Grace Company is our customer service relation. We love working with you, and we are just dedicated to make sure you are taken care of and getting you the perfect products that you're looking for.
I love that you were mentioning that, Jared, because that's why we do what we do, right? We want to help you. That's why we are trying to do more and more with new products, innovating all the time so that you guys can do even more quilts and get those out to the people that you love.
Absolutely. The one detail about this that is really cool is this is actually a little postage stamp pattern. You can see right here, it's a postage stamp in the top corner. And what's really neat is that there is actually a postage stamp pattern included. You can make your own.
A pattern is included? Who doesn't love a free pattern?
And I heard someone whisper to me, figuratively, that we might already have a example pattern in the room here.
Maybe right here. So this is an example of the pattern that you're going to be able to do with it, which is the pin cushion pattern that's on the thank you card. This is actually a sample of the pattern that Carla has all her education people do when they come on. That's one of the first things that they get to do. So it's not only doing quilting, but you also get to do this little applique piece here for the handle. It's really fun. I can't wait to see everybody that gets this and sends us samples of their pin cushions.
Yeah, please make sure to share if you do end up making this. We'd be, absolutely love to see it. And it's kind of like your own little intro into Carla's team.
There you go,
we're all her students.
We're all
here,
on
honestly.
Carla's students, yeah.
She's real far along, so we love to learn from her. But there is some more stuff inside this pocket.
So I mentioned that we had the wonderful handles on here, but it comes with unzip, unzip, pull inside, a strap as well. So this is also branded True Cut, so you too can show how cool you are by having your True Cut bag. This strap is reinforced. It's made the same way as a seatbelt is, so of course seatbelts keep us safe. This will keep your True Cut bag safe. And it has a really easy clasp, right? You're just gonna pull down with your thumb or finger, it opens it up, and then it clips along the side of the bag. And then you can take it with you wherever you're going. In the car, in your RV, to your Quilt Guild meeting, to the events, wherever you're going.
Yep, this is super important because if you have your hands full, I know I always have my hands full. I like doing arts and crafts. And when you're crafting, you have so many different things. The last thing you want to worry about is trying to, where is my container going? So having these little straps right here is just a great way to quickly, throw it over your shoulder, not worrying about, trying to hold on to another item.
And everything's contained. And speaking of contained, there's so much more contained in here. So let's go to the next piece.
The next piece right here is we have this little binder area. It actually flips over exactly like a binder. And if you're so inclined, you can add anything else you would like to here because this is a standard size binder. But I just love to mention that because of the customization, we're all different on what we want and exactly need. But the first two tools that we have here, these are two really important writing tools. So it's just the standard pencil and also a chalk pencil.
Ooh, I love that. Carla mentions all the time that you need both, right? Not
Absolutely.
Just one. You need both of them
You need
for
two to get
marking.
the job done.
Yeah, and we get asked all the time at shows, on the phone, what tools does Carla use with her marking? What does she recommend? Well, now you have it. You don't have to ask anymore. We've got it set for you.
So we'll move on to the next item, which I think is really cool, is actually a magnet that goes on your wrist.
What?
It's like one of those little slap bracelets.
I love those.
Well, it's great. It has an amazing purpose, is to pick up pins. I have a few pins here.
I promise these weren't stuck on his leg, just near his leg.
I had those secretly stashed.
Yeah.
So when you're going 60 miles per hour on the road and you're crafting, pins might fall somewhere.
You hit a bump, and that's dangerous?
That's dangerous.
Well, how do you pick them up?
So a really easy way to pick it up is what you can do is have this, and maybe you don't have enough reach to really bend down and pick something up. So this, you can just wave it over here and just pick them right off of the ground. You don't actually have to know where they are. You can just kind of
That's
be in the
nice. How many
relative
times
area.
have you lost a pin or a needle and then
Too many
you're
times.
hoping where it is in the carpet?
I've lost it too many times and I don't quilt, so I can only imagine if you're using pins every day, how often
How often does it happen? Yeah. The one thing to remember when you're using this, though, is make sure that your pins, when you put it on your wrist, not to put them the wrong direction. So when you're pulling it, you're not pulling from the point and then getting stabbed every time you get a pin. Make sure you're pulling it with the flat head. And we always make sure we use the flat head so that you're not going to bunch up the fabric when you're pinning.
Absolutely. The next item here, this is a seam ripper. We've all seen a seam ripper, but this...
We all have seam rippers, I think.
We all have them, But this one we specifically chose for a few reasons. This one has a cap. And
Safety first. That's all the true cut. Yeah, all about safety.
And if you're putting anything extra in here, we don't want this getting caught on anything. So this is a great travel version, has a cap for protection. And the other really great thing about this one is it actually has this bald end right here. And Jenna, do you have some insight on what this amazing little area right here is for?
So this part that's a softer rubber, when you're seam ripping, then you have to reach down and pick out with your finger all those threads. However, with this soft section, you can rub it along and it'll pick up those threads for you. Wow, that's so amazing. I'm so excited. I can't wait to test this out.
Everything here was carefully thought through, and even small details like that. You know, we could have gotten any seam ripper, but we wanted to make sure there's going to be one that is going to be the best for you, especially for traveling. The other thing that we have, really important, a sharpener for your tools.
You don't even have to go and find that.
You don't have to go find it.
Don't have to go to another store. We've got it also. They've thought of everything in this package for you to travel.
And speaking of pins to scatter at 60 miles per hour, we got your little own set of 50 pins right here. So you're already set to go. You know, you can add more, but 50 is plenty to get started out with there.
I love that this is a zipper pocket right here, right? If the bag comes open for your pins, right away they're contained in that zipper pocket. And I love that you have additional places to put things, right? You can put thread, you can put other tools, whatever it is that you're thinking. The other thing I love about this is if you're working on something and you want to take this with you, you can open up the metal parts and take it with you.
You know, and even if it's like a smaller little trip, sometimes, you know, maybe I don't need all these other little extra things here, and I have actually more of a project or something more bulky that I can put inside of here. You can take this right out, and now you can see I have a lot more space to close this up here. So it's kind of adaptive and perfect. We're all different as artists, so this will be able to fit exactly what you need.
Okay, I'm so excited for this other side as well.
I would really call it the gravy of what we're really getting into here. This
Exactly.
is like the meat portion. This is where some of the coolest items are. All these other things are fantastic, but especially the cutter as well.
Especially the cutter, yeah. So I'm gonna start out with the 28 millimeter cutter. One that's our smallest cutter, but it's so precise. Just like our other True Cut stuff, we get to have the guide that runs right along the edge to help keep it even more accurate. And speaking of edges, we've got also new in this kit only, right? The 28 millimeter straight, you can get it other ways.
Yes.
But this ruler, 3x8, it's the only place you can get it. It was in this. Exclusive.
It's exclusive to this only.
Exactly, yeah. So you've got this ruler, it's got the track edge so that you can do precision cutting, right? I don't know how many times I've explained this at a show or online, and people are just amazed at how much they're not gonna have to worry about putting it along the edge and not veering off or doing any of those wiggly worms as they're cutting, right? Also included, right? Like if that's not enough.
Yeah.
We also have the True Grips. I love True Grips for everything.
Really important detail.
Right, you put them on the back of your ruler, and then your ruler's not gonna skid as you're cutting along. And then just because, who doesn't need an extra pair of fabric scissors, right? How many times have you looking for your scissors and you can't find them, and then poof, here you go, an extra pair of scissors for your project. But that's not all that's on this side, right?
No, we have one last little item sneaked behind here. There's actually two items over here. This is for laying out your patterns. So we have different textures. We have a leathery sort of texture, and we also have a more gritty.
Why would you need the
sandpaper
gritty
texture.
paper?
Well, Janet, if we're going 60 miles per hour or faster, traveling, or even if you're staying still,
Or
how
it's blowing,
easy-
right? Like
Exactly.
if you
If
got
it's
wind
windy,
going, yeah.
How easy is it for your pattern to just, you know, somewhat
Blow
separate
away?
or fall apart? Exactly.
Easily.
So that's why we have this. It is a really grippy, fantastic texture.
Let's put that on there and
Yeah,
test.
yeah, it's not going to move.
Yeah, yeah.
The last side of this is this thing is real neat because it just has so many different uses, is a little, and you can see this is also attached in here real sturdy.
Oh, so you can take it out. So you're
You
not
can take
just
it
stuck
out.
inside the case.
Yep,
Perfect.
absolutely. And I'll actually do that right now. So you can take this off, and you can see that this is a little push board, perfect for pinning your here.
Oh, so you can pin your whole pattern
Absolutely.
together.
Any style, any way you want to do it, this has the way for you to do it here. So that's
And again,
another-
exclusive to this set.
Absolutely. Then the last thing that we have here is the cutting board. This is a really nice 5-ply, double-sided.
Double-sided.
once you
And what's the
really-
size of this one now?
This one looks to be 10 by, oh, hold on. It is 8 by 10.
8 by 10. So about the size of a piece of paper, fits inside there. Again, exclusive to this fantastic collection, only available to purchase when you're getting through this, right?
Absolutely, yep. And it's real nice for traveling, and it's self-healing. So this is gonna last you a really long time. And like Jana said, this is the perfect size for traveling. So this is your really perfect cutting board companion. Because if you think about it, a lot of cutting boards, they're just kind of an unseemly size really to get around. Like
Which
there's
is
no
great,
way-
right?
yeah.
When you need the
Yeah,
whole
when you need
table,
it.
but when you're doing precision, and traveling, who needs to take a 24 by 36 in the
this
car
is-
with them?
Absolutely not. I don't know too many people that have space for that. So this is the very perfect size for that, and it's really ideal.
Okay, so let's go over all that we've got
Oh boy,
in
there's
this
a
container.
lot in here. I don't know if we're ready or really prepared
Yeah.
mentally to like go over just how much we have here. 'Cause
Right.
There's really so much.
There's
But
so
Jana,
much.
We're gonna give our best shot. Go ahead.
'Kay.
What's in the package?
We've got the 8 by 10 cutting board,
And
the patchwork board,
and
and the 28 millimeter straight cutter,
what else do we have, Jana? Keep going.
the 3 by 8 ruler,
Great exclusive ruler. And
the true grips,
important detail. And
and the fabric scissors.
those are important. Don't forget your fabric scissors.
You always need scissors, right? Who doesn't need an extra pair of scissors? We've got the 50 pins
and
the sharpener
space.
and
to store.
space to store in the whole binder kit. Then we also have the perfect seam ripper for all your quilting needs. And the magnet wristband that can help pick up those pins that fall everywhere, not just in your car. And the 2 pencil pack, the chalk and the pencil. And the free pattern. And
the strap.
And pockets. And the last piece. It's just super adorable and stylish, right? I'm gonna take mine right away. I've got to order this right away for me.
Yeah, I think I actually, don't tell anyone, but I'm just gonna walk out with this here. I think it's just such a convenient little package.
You're just gonna
but
walk right out and take it with you.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna walk right out with it. But we're just so excited that we're able to show this to you.
So where can you order this, right?
Oh, Jana, where can we order it?
Well, first off is graceframe.com. On our website, we're happy to take those orders. We also have a chat function on there if you have any questions about the package and all that comes with it.
The next place that you can order it is over the phone at 1-800-264-0644 and extension 3. That is for our sales team. We are super happy to help you and really prepared for any questions that you have and excited to take your order. That is me and Jana and many other people that you've seen on here as our fantastic sales team. So if you have any questions, go ahead and give us a call at that number.
Yeah, and third is any of our dealers, right? You can go onto our website, check out our dealer locator, and they'll be able to help you get it ordered. Also, if you've already ordered it from them and you want to ask questions from us, give us a call as well. We're so excited though, guys. I mean, seriously, this is the first time anybody's seeing it. You're the exclusive group with us. Jarek and I are so happy that we could be a part of this.
Did you see what was in here? I was gotta say, like, that's really some really great items. And like I said, they were just really passionate about getting this all right and every little detail. So like I said, I'm just really excited to show this to you after being so long in the process for getting this on the table to sell to you as a really nice, convenient package.
I think that I'm gonna take it with me.
I don't know. I'm pretty set on taking it. So
Pretty sad, I take it.
y'all have a nice day.
You have a nice day.
Enjoy the rest of
Don't
the show.
forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Wait a minute, Jarek. Don't walk out with that.
Hi, welcome to the Grace Company. I'm Nathan Erznosnik, and today with me I have our special guest.
Carla Jerome.
Oh, really special guest, Carla. Everybody knows Carla. They love you, Carla. You're an international star.
No, I love them too. So I love y'all, and I appreciate you joining us today.
We do. Thank you for being with us. And this is an exciting little episode that we're going to talk about, the Sure Stitch Elite. Carla, this has been something in the works for a while. Tell me a little bit about when you hear Sure Stitch Elite. You know we've had our old one, which is, by the way, stitch regulation for your sewing machine. What makes you excited about this product?
And that it brings your quilting kind of that little tech savvy feel, and it works so well. So you're not doing multiple things at once. You're not pushing down on your foot pedal. It eliminates that, and you just push the start button and you can move your machine across your quilt and it will regulate the stitches. So it's very easy to use and a lot of fun. It just takes all of that headache away from trying to manage the rhythm of your quilting with your foot pedals. So
wonderful. I think there are several key things. Stick with us because we do want to talk about what makes this so wonderful. We want to talk about, how does this eliminate? I think one of the things you brought up was the headache. I think trying to do multiple things while you're quilting, that can be a little bit of a challenge. I heard the word easy, which I really, really loved as well. I think that's one question, why or how might this make quilting easier? There's a lot of modes. I heard you also talk about quickly being able just to turn this off or on. And again, there's some other really amazing things we're going to get into as well, along with a couple last things. I know that you have a couple preferences. So stick with us as we go through these and dive into the Shear Stitch Elite. With that, Carla, one of the first questions I want to pose to you is having to do with maybe what some people might consider the headache in trying to quilt either with free motion or even moving our hands and our fabric underneath. And that is consistency in stitches and then trying to work our foot pedal. Why can that be such a challenge for our quilters out there?
Well, it's, when you're pushing on your foot pedal, it's like learning to drive the car and you're pushing on the brake and the gas and trying to get that feel for not stopping all of a sudden and not speeding up all at once. And eliminating that just helps you free up your hands and your mind so that you can just move across your quilt without any of those other options to intimidate your quilting. So it just really frees you up to, make beautiful stitches.
I love that. I will say, if you think about it, I ask, the quilters out there, if you try to complete a quilt on your own, right? And so you're pushing this. Or again, the same thing, once we kind of move a machine onto a frame, which is a wonderful, it's an easy, light, smooth process. I would say that even my first concern, if I'm using a foot pedal, is how fast am I pushing that foot pedal? For what speed am I moving my hands, right? And maybe really quick, Carla, I'm not sure if this is up to show them how easy this moves and glides on this surface.
And when you're moving it and trying to push on your foot pedal, you'll get those inconsistent stitches. So sometimes they're going to be larger or smaller, and because you're pushing on it and you're trying to regulate your movements, but it's like patting your head, rubbing your stomach. You're trying to do all of that all at once. And yes, you can get in the rhythm, but this just makes it so much easier to free up your hand, free up your foot, and just let you dedicate your line of sight and your thought process to just the quilting and making that beautiful stitch.
Wonderful. So let me just kind of bring two pieces together. Some people will probably wonder, how does that really work? So we have our sewing machine.
Right.
Nothing special. This is your standard domestic machine. I would ask you to reach out, look online, or visit a dealer also for compatibility, because that's probably one of the key questions we'll get is, will it work with mine? But what it includes is you have your machine, which is its own piece. It doesn't change. You don't need something else as an add-on to your machine. You would have, for us here at Grace Company, we recommend the frame, because this does work with or in conjunction with the frame and your machine. So those two come together. There is a brain. So there's a smart box that I maybe can call it. We put that on the back of the machine and it's Velcroed on. And on the front handlebars, we have a screen display. And this screen is wonderful because this is really the new piece. This, when you talk about kind of bringing this and making it a little bit more tech savvy, we have our phones in our pockets. We're wanting the next notification. We're engaging with our friends, and I think the question we have is, if we're using our machine, how can we bring some of those simple, quick access pieces, right? Turning them off, turning them on, and we'll talk about preferences.
And the touch screen makes it, just very intuitive.
Comes right in, and that comes right here to the front, right in front of your handlebars. Now, whether you have different frames that Grace Company has that might have an over-the-machine handlebar, this can be mounted there. It can be mounted out front. This is the Cutie frame, by the way, which we love. It's been an exciting frame to have. So again, you have your machine, and then what happens is there's a power cord, so you do plug this into the wall or into your power strip, and then you simply take from this smart box, you take a plug and it plugs into your foot pedal. Now again, we're not going to show all those details, but it's fairly easy to put together because of that.
Oh, very easy to put together, and don't let it intimidate you. It is so simple and easy to use and to set up. It'll blow your mind.
Now with that, maybe Carla, share with this. Okay, so kind of to confirm, it's easy because we have the box, we have our display, we plug it in, and we plug it into the foot pedal port of your machine.
Right.
And I know that this new one also allows us to use certain features, like I think certain machines might have cutters and we can activate those kind of things. Again, we're not here to go through all the details specific to your machine, but I would recommend, again, look online on our website, give our customer service members a call or call your dealer. They can walk through more. We will show you a lot of the wonderful features here as we move into this, but again, that's the setup. Put your machine on here, plug it in, and we're ready to go. Now, Carla, you mentioned beautiful stitches, and it makes this easier. So now we're not having to, again, pat or tell me, or pat or remember, we don't have to worry about two things at one time, foot pedal and motion. Would you mind just doing a quick demonstration by turning this on and then just moving it here a little bit across the surface to show us how smooth and how easy
I would love to, because you know quilting is my thing. I love doing that. So you want to make sure that your presser foot is down, very important, and that we just turn on the start, and you'll see that the needle starts moving up and down. But see, I don't have to push on that foot pedal. I can just glide across and just concentrate on my beautiful stitches. Or my design. You know, and that's a special feature.
We hear a little bit of a beeping, and somebody might say, was there a beeping? And we'll talk about that maybe here in just a minute about what we were hearing. So, Carla, really quick again, I noticed you weren't having to hold yourself with your foot pedal. Even if you're sitting down, you're not having to worry about moving. You can just focus on the handles.
Right, and I could just glide across at an even pace. So I wasn't trying to guess, well, I'm pushing on my foot pedal, so I need to speed up my movement. Or I'm slowing down, so I need to slow down my movements. So it just eliminates all that little guesswork. And it really does help make your stitches nice and consistent.
And I like that because really, you know, outside of giving you confidence to begin with, which is I don't have to worry about doing multiple things.
Right.
And we talked about that helping replace the foot pedal. That's kind of the no-brainer process and what everybody loves. Now we're talking stitch regulation. So creating consistent size stitches for you. As you move, we heard the machine speed up a little bit.
Right. As
we slow down, it slowed down. And I liked one of the things you talk about is that it helps make those beautiful stitches.
Right.
And I would ask you, as a quilter, as you've done several different projects, I know you use manual, we use stitch regulation, talking with our quilters, what is it that they will receive, or meaning what kind of confidence does it build by giving them stitch regulation in their system with something like the SureStitch Elite?
Well, it allows you to really, like I said, concentrate on working on making your design beautiful all the way across. So, you know, you don't have to worry about how fast you're moving it, because the machine's going to speed up. And you don't have to worry about how slow you're going, because you can do it at your pace and at your speed. And that's really how you're going to develop that confidence, knowing that, hey, I can move as slow as I want because I'm just learning a design, or I can speed it up a little bit because I know the design more, and it's going to keep my stitches nice and consistent. And that really helps build that confidence. And the more you understand and the more you quilt, the more you love.
I really like that. One of the things that made me think about is I have one unfinished quilt, or Carly, you might have two.
Well, a lot,
You might
okay?
have three. Think about that. If you have your unfinished quilts, one of the things that stops people, usually there's two things that when I think about in general,
Right.
like I'm going to think about my machine and I'm like, wow, managing this fabric is kind of going to be difficult.
Very intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating. I do the straight lines maybe. So think about that. Is that somewhere where you're at? Are you feeling like, wow, I would love to get into them if I maybe had a tool that made it easier? So then we say the frame helps with the motion,
Right.
okay, and it helps manage fabric. To me, the next biggest, and this has just been, you know, I've been in this industry for 15 years, and one of the things that I know when quilters come up to this is first, they're like, oh, I can't do this, right? And it's this
Right.
bit of, I'm not sure how well or what my design is going to be. But I think number one is, do I feel like I can manage the machine? And then really, it's the stitching
Right.
of the machine. And so the thing I like to kind of have you think about is, if somebody now had an ability to then stitch regulate their machine, how do you feel that, what kind of position do you feel that puts them in as a quilter now? Is there an empowerment? Is there, we kind of talked about that, but do you feel like someone would now be able to get through more quilts in less time? Like what are some of the
absolutely.
advantages of then stitch regulating your machine?
Yeah, it does. it just frees you up to concentrate and work through your quilts that much faster, because you're eliminating some of the processes that, you know, really are inhibiting your way of quilting, and it does free you up. So you can crank through the quilts as fast or as slow as you want at your pace, and enjoy the process, because it is freeing.
I love that. Or as detailed,
Right,
or not as
yes.
detailed, right? And I know there's a lot of other things like ruler work is another one,
absolutely, yeah.
using lasers, and I feel like, again, you're adding another process. So if we don't have to worry about the machine,
Right.
and we can turn it on and then it regulates, it's just, again, it gives you that like literally immediate confidence.
Yes.
Now, I remember you worked with one of our employees here, I want to say it was last fall, and we did some things with this kind of a setup, and we did stitch regulation on it, and it was LJ. And I remember her starting, and I'm remembering the video, she kind of didn't want to stop, right?
No, she really enjoyed it, and it does. It brings that enjoyment back to quilting and just takes away those little challenges that you face. And what's not to love? It just really is a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carla. So again, if you're here and you're watching, and we're talking again about the Sure Stitch Elite, which is a brand new stitch regulator here by the Grace Company. We do have our original Sure Stitch.
Yeah.
Still a wonderful product. We are going to keep that one. This one's the next level. I think you talked about a little more technologically advanced. It's a little bit more, you know, it has these new features that we'll talk about.
It does have some great new features, but the old one, God, it's kind of like that mother figure that, you know, it's refined this little baby, and this baby's this new generation of quilting, and it brings that in there. And I, you know, when we first introduced the Sure Stitch, I didn't understand it, and now that I understand how it works, I just love it, and it's so important to help you with your quilting. So
wonderful. So let's talk about some of these wonderful features.
Okay.
One of those things I think is how easy it is to access or
Right.
to choose specific options. And there are a few modes. So maybe if you'll just talk to our audience, what are some of the modes that it has? And maybe you can just verbally tell us why might you use one of those modes differently. So it does have a few different modes than our old one, our current original Sure Stitch as the Elite. And so tell us a little bit about that.
So it gives you a manual mode and a stitch regulator mode. And you say, well, why would you ever want to choose a manual mode? Well, you never know. You never know when it calls for a manual mode. When you move to a long arm, you get 3 different modes. So this just kind of brings it up a step. So
Maybe if I can, so one of the things I just heard you say, and I love this is a way, kind of a way to elevate your machine
Right.
closer to that long arm function. So also, I know if there's manual and then there's the regulated, maybe we can take a quick shot at the screen, and maybe you can show us, because I believe there's some presets or there's some other functions with that.
Right here, you see the presets. You have 2 SPIs and 5 and 8. And so those are the machine speed settings. So you can, you know, use the presets, or you can set it by yourself using the plus or the minus. So it's just very easy, and you just have to touch the screen to raise it up or lower it down.
Now, I believe in manual we have that same option where we can do a couple presets. So like if I want the machine to sew at 20%,
Right.
we can just quickly go to the 20% or...
And you have a setting where you can, you know, regulate how fast the needle is moving up and down, which is really nice, because on particular stitches, it may call for a little tighter stitch, so you may want it to go up and down a little faster, or a little slower if you want it separated. So
yeah, I like to talk about, if I go and like talk about doing a grape, or I need to go
Right.
fill a space, right? Instead of having to move our machine around, we can let that machine work at that speed to fill it in, which really helps. Oh, wonderful. Also, outside of that, a couple other things. We talk about the touchscreen. Now, because we have this separate screen, we're able to bring some other things. One of those is I did hear it beeping when you started moving the machine. And why would it beep at you? Our old one didn't beep. It did have a screen, a little LED that showed you. This one has, I think, both screen that's showing us, and then it has an audible sound.
Right.
What are those sounds telling us when we hear that?
There are a couple different sounds. One is called the overspeed. And with any machine, you can move the machine faster than it can actually sew. And then it will beep at you, and that is what we call the overspeed, so that you can really help to make your stitches nice and regulated by listening and working with the Sure Stitch Elite. So that will really help. Then, a great new feature. Do you want to introduce that?
Well, I know this is really exciting.
It is. It's very exciting.
That you know, there are some challenges that exist in general wall
Yes.
quilting. When a quilter walks up and they decide to put their hands on this, one of the first things we always have a customer do, and let me go ahead and let me just quickly cut this here. In fact, maybe you hit
Right,
the cutter
I'll
right there. There we
No,
go. So one of the things they do is they're like, oh, this is really, really great. And they start moving down, and all of a sudden, because we have the machine, is we run out of space.
Yeah.
Now, that's not a problem. One of the great things about a frame like this is you can still work within the space, and the fabric actually helps stay out of the way. So you
Right.
actually end up with a little bit more finished quilting space on a frame like this than without it. But then you move to the back. So this is our workspace. But what we find is that customers end up not quite knowing. So I have taught people, hey, take a piece of thread, or you might
Right.
say put some tape
Tape.
across. But we have a feature, Carla. And that feature that actually is taking some technology that you probably will be familiar with out there with cars and other things, is it does create a barrier. And this is an invisible barrier that we
Right.
call edge warning. And so why don't you talk a little bit about what edge warning is meant to do, and then let's go ahead and walk through the process to engage it on this.
Okay.
And then let's show people how that works.
Edge warning is to keep you away from the edge and bumping into it and messing up your design. And it came about when a cute little lady came to me at a show, and she says, man, why didn't you tell me I was going to keep bumping into the back of my machine? I didn't have that much quilting area. She was really frustrated with me. And I tried to warn her, but then we came back, and then all of a sudden we were talking, and I thought, well, why can't we add an edge warning to beep at us and let us know that we're getting close to that edge so we don't mess up that design and it doesn't become frustrating for the customers? Well, lo and behold, we have.
So let's talk about what that is really quick. So edge warning, what is
Right.
edge warning? This is new, exclusive to Grace Company products. We have
Right.
this right now in the Sure Stitch Elite. And again, I like this is where the technology can come out,
Yes.
right? We can program features and functions. So right now, as this machine moves and the customer's like, oh, I'm bumping into the rail, I'm
Right.
bumping into my machine, I wish the system could warn me that I'm getting closer. So think about your car. If you ever backed up and you hear, or you ever get close and your car starts going beep, beep, beep,
Right.
beep, 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 right? So there's this caution warning that has been built in, and you can set that space specific to your machine and the area that it's working in, so that if you start to get close, you're going to hear an audible, and we'll see a visual notation on the screen going, hey, you're getting closer. So why don't you go ahead and walk us through the quick process. Let's define the space, and then I would love to hear and see this in action.
So it's right up here. You see this little wheel? That is your settings screen.
setting
so
button?
you're just gonna
Okay.
just tap on that, and you'll notice that you have all these different settings. You have display settings, machine settings, and we're going to tap on the tool settings right here.
Okay.
And that's going to give us some cool new features on this. You see a measure tool.
Yeah, so right here, other things we'll talk about in a minute, but measure,
and a
what else?
calculator and
Calculator.
edge warning. I'm going to tap on that. So I'm just going to move my machine to the upper left. Notice that I have the upper left
Okay, so
here.
it says upper left on the
Right.
screen, so you're going to move up to the upper left edge of your
Yes.
quilt space.
Right, and
Okay.
that's as far as I can go. And I'm going
Okay.
to tap right here on the upper left. So just going to tap on that, and I've set that. So I'm just going to move down here to my lower right.
Okay, so again, it asked you to go to the upper left, so we went to the upper edge of our quilt space. Now we're going to go down to the bottom right.
And I'm going to tap on that. And now I can set the setting a 1/2 inch or 1 inch for my warning.
So again, what this means is if the machine is getting close, we can tell it how far before the machine gets to that
Right.
space that it starts to warn us. Okay,
And I'm just
wonderful.
going to tap on the 1/2, and then we'll just get back into our main screen, and we're back here, and we'll just turn it on.
So she's quilting, and as she starts to get, the machine gets closer and closer, we can hear, and you can see when you get close, it starts to get a little bit more consistent and louder. So again, this is amazing. This has never been done, by the way, not on a machine and not in stitch regulations. So
It's very cool.
this is the part when I do this, and people, you get the flat spots or you
right.
run out of space, and this is audibly now,
Right.
now telling us, by the way, you're getting close, and it doesn't mean you're there,
Right.
because it starts to get a little bit, the beats
Right.
get closer together, right? As it
And you
gets-
can have a bigger gap and set the 1 inch rather than the 1/2 inch. It's just all up to you, and maybe on how big your design is, maybe that's going to be your setting. So yeah, it's very cool, and it's a lot of fun, and boy, is it going to relieve that headache of bumping into the back or the front of your machine and pushing it forward and hitting your needle and having your needle come out. Oh boy, all those headaches that I have done, You will not miss at all.
Wonderful. And with that, the great thing, Carla, is it works from the front to the back of the frame, and it works left to right. On a hoop frame especially, think if this was completely covered, you can't see, so it also gives you that audible warning when you're getting close to your side. So I will tell you, that's one of the amazing patented features that we actually have in this product in the SureStitch Elite, is an ability for it to manage that. So we're really excited. A couple last things as we kind of conclude here, Carla, with our guests that are joining us. It's really wonderful. It does come and you can set your preferences, but more importantly, it's all complete in the box. So I think cords are included, power supply, the main smart box, and the display and those cables for you to be able to get set up with it. And so Carla, as we kind of go through this, when I was talking to you here the other day, I really like a couple of these pieces, and maybe if I can go through those and then have you conclude with our quilters and why we would encourage them to go out and take a look at the SureStitch Elite. I know we started off again with the no foot pedal, right?
Right.
Making it easier so we're not having to think about doing multiple processes at the same time. The other thing, which is really more important than even that, is the quality of your stitch.
Right.
And the stitch regulation now that's being added to it. You mentioned easy.
Yes.
Right? So
Very
it was easy for us to use, easy to set up, easier to use with your system. I think we talked about, and I love the demonstration, that there are different modes and also preferences that we have with that. So you can choose kind of what works best for you,
Yes.
right? What works best for your designs. We talked about that amazing edge warning.
Yes.
That is pretty cool, by the way. That's amazing that it can give you your space and keep you within that space. Not only does it regulate it, but now it helps audibly and visually tell you where you're at, ultimately helping you become, I think, a better quilter with that.
Absolutely.
So what would be any of the last words you would share with our quilters as they're watching this and able to see this amazing SureStitch Elite?
Oh, it's just really exciting to be able to bring technology that you inspired, because this was inspired by a sweet quilter. Wonderful. And you know, you are what keeps us going. You quilters out there, and you do inspire us so much, and we appreciate it. And so we're looking forward to all your great ideas and thoughts, and you'll love the new SureStitch Elite. It's built-in capabilities. It will just make you and give you the confidence to become a better quilter.
Wonderful. My last call to action is, again, if you think about you want a no-hassle quilting experience, you want better, prettier stitches, there's an easy, simple way that gives you your personal preferences. Go take a look, find a dealer, call us at our 1-800-264-0644 to log on to graceframe.com. Again, at the end, I'll just remind you, we'd love for you to leave a comment if you have questions or want to comment below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, follow us on our Instagram and look at our websites. And with it again, thank you very much from Nathan Erznosnik and
Carla Jerome
with the Grace Company.
All right, there we go. Boom. We're
back. By the way, I love the SureStitch Elite. We have found, so we have a previous version of SureStitch, just the standard one, that we had, I want to say we've had it for probably about 15 years. And one of the things we continue to look at as we got into the machines with the touch screens, these different features, some of those patented things like the edge warning, we're like, hey, we have to take this and put this back into our stitch regulation. The other thing, our other stitch regulations, depending on the machine, we'd have to send you a special box. If you ever upgraded your machine or altered it, we would have to work on getting it back and adjusting it. So we said we wanted a smarter SureStitch, self-adjusted, that had all of those amazing features. And so it was really fun for me to do that segment with Carla. And every time we go to a show, we sell a whole lot of those when it comes to people, you know, the different quilters, you out there that are quilting and are wanting that consistency in your stitching. Maybe one question I can put up on here, I thought this was a great question from Debbie. It just said, can you use the SureStitch when using the perfect pattern or the pantographs? And the answer is absolutely. So it's one of the best things to have, because when you go to slow down, that machine will slow down, giving you a lot more control, and you don't have to worry about trying to keep up with the machine's speed. So that's a perfect place to use it. Somewhere where you might be speeding up and slowing down, it makes it so that it will do that automatically for you. And again, that's what regulate means. It's going to regulate that up and down, kind of like your foot pedal on the gas. It's going to do it automatically, like setting cruise control, which can help manage your speed in order to get you where you're going to want to be. So I really like that question. This is a little bit different. I think this is just somebody commenting about the Horizon being a little bit of a bigger machine, more or less from the hoop frame perspective, but you can use many machines. They just sit on the trolley, and then you put your foot pedal underneath. So I think those are a couple of great things to think about. And then here's the last one as well. Maybe you can go ahead and answer this one as well.
Yeah, this is a great question. So, does the Sure Stitch Elite work for all machines? So, fantastic question. So, unfortunately, in the industry, there is a lot of domestic machines. So, we are always looking to test to new machines. However, we haven't had the opportunity to test all domestic machines. So we have tested a really good handful of those different domestic machines that we know it is compatible with, but not quite all of them.
Yeah, so with that, what I would like to say is you can reach out again to Know How Sewing Essential. So Roswitha, I know you're there. One of the questions was compatibility. Best thing is just to have them give you a call or email you, right? If they have a machine and they're trying to look at compatibility.
Yes. Yeah,
And then I know, great. And then I know Hans mentioned that you have a few of them there. I'm not sure if you have a limited supply. I'm not sure if you've run them on a special at all. I don't know if you want to share any details surrounding that.
Yes, they are on special at the moment. They're normally $14.99. At the moment, they are for $12.45.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Okay, well, wonderful.
Wonderful, yeah. Just wanted to say we are looking to come towards kind of the end of this first day, but we have loved when you guys, there's just the last couple of things we would like to do with you. So one of those is actually really quickly turn it back over to you, Roswitha, to see if you wouldn't mind mentioning kind of what items it is you have on promotion that are special and specific for this wonderful event we're doing.
Yes, so as I mentioned before, all the TrueCut products are on special, 20% off, and they can be found on our website, Facebook, Instagram, all the platforms. And the Sure Stitch Elite is on special, and the Cutie frame and the Q's on hoop frame. And of course, the leader cloth for the hoop frames.
Wonderful. That sounds like a great number of items you really have on sale there. And so one thing that if you kind of have stuck with us through all of this, we actually are going to be doing one more giveaway chosen from those that have pre-registered. And then we decided, kind of end this. We would like to do a quick Plinko, so really a live giveaway to say thank you everybody for sticking with us through this first day. So I don't know if you guys were watching, but if you were, Jana and Jarek actually did a wonderful segment on the TrueCut travel kit. Now, I don't know, Roswitha or Hans, have you had the opportunity to kind of look through that kit and see really all that comes with it?
Don't get it, it's on the table.
What?
The TrueCut travel kit. Yes, we have a look and it's great, like something stylish and easy to use and portable. So fantastic addition for the travel. Yes, and it suits you very well, Hans. Looks good.
Yes, that's wonderful. It really is a fantastic kit that comes with everything you need and has the ability
20% off as well. It's on special.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, because it falls into that TrueCut
TrueCut, yes, correct.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, as you can see, a ton comes with it, and really it has that ability to have more added to it, really, so you can really customize and personalize that kit for everything you're looking to do. But we're going to go ahead again. This winner is chosen from those that have pre-registered. Let's go do a quick drum roll for the winner of this TrueCut kit.
TrueCut travel kit, and the winner is
Woo! I think it's Kieran.
Kieran Dagan. Congratulations to Kieran. So Kieran, we will be having Know How Sewing Essential reach out to you to make sure we can connect with you to help provide and get you that thing. So thanks for being a part and registering for part of this event. As we're going through this at the end, again, let me just put up a couple things. I think you want to do one more Plinko giveaway.
Before we end here.
So really quick, just make sure, also write this down, mail@knowhowsewingessential.com. This is if you have any questions. Also, you can look at their website that has a lot of these products, gives you some additional information, then you can always give them a call. Then LJ, let's go ahead and look at what we want to do for the last one.
Let's just ask, let's go ahead and just do a question. And you know what, let's maybe make it just a bit easier. Go ahead and in the comments, I want to see, so really no right answer, go ahead and just choose a winner here though. But go ahead and put what has been your favorite segment that you have seen today.
Yeah, what have you enjoyed most? What's been either most educational, inspirational, informative, fun to watch, etc. Maybe just list that in here so we can have everybody who's participating throw in a comment, and we will choose a winner.
Yeah, because it's going to be really wonderful. Again, we've really loved being able to be with you and to really be with Ron's our Hans and Roswitha, and be able to join you guys. So again, we'd love to see those segments that, Nathan mentioned that you loved, really enjoy, or really found educational. So just to kind of see what they're here. A lot of coming in.
All right, I'm getting a lot of people putting some things in. Great things, you're right. Like obviously the travel kit, they love seeing that. Lizzie, thanks, Lizzie. I am seeing that she's actually on here and commenting. Thanks for joining us, Lizzie Allen, as well. Her segment on the feathering, I thought was really great. If you, like I love whatever opening is, oh, you think you've now accomplished it once you've been able to get into the space where you can do feathers. And I think it's a really great tutorial to walk you through spaces and some of the different methods you can use when doing feathering. So I thought that was fantastic. And I think we have, again, another part from Lizzie Allen tomorrow. So that's going to be really fun to get her. We're seeing some people bring up the stitch regulation. They really enjoyed understanding a little bit about the stitch regulation. Again, put any of your comments. We have the 5 tips and a lot of different things. We're going to give you just another minute to put those in there. Again, I just wanted to bring back up on the screen, we do have knowhowsewingessential.com.au. Roswitha, as we're waiting to choose this last winner, are there any last words you would like to share with everybody that's been joining you today?
Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again tomorrow, because we will be up bright and early, and well, in Australia. Sorry, you guys has end of the day, but yes, it's great fun to have these online events, and they're only possible if we have the audience, and we are willing to do. So just join us, register,
wonderful,
or just hop in.
Great, wonderful. With that, LG, give us a sneak peek on what to look forward to tomorrow. What's something that we should be excited about coming back and watching?
Yeah, we actually have quite a bit tomorrow. You had mentioned we do have that second portion of the video with Lizzie that we will be doing. And then we also have actually a bit on automation. So if that's something you've looked at, we'll have a bit on that. And then we'll
computer automation. So that's a way for you, if you're, a lot of times if you don't want to learn the skill set or do the free motion, you can actually look even better potentially by just choosing a patterning and telling it where you want to go. Love that system, a great accessory for the mid and long arms.
That's right. And then also kind of towards the end of tomorrow, we'll be talking about the 21X Elite machine. So that'll be a really fun
premium product. So one of the new top-end tiered professional long arms that we have. Great if you're not a professional, but I'll tell you, it really is setting a new standard in the quilting industry. So
it is, yeah, really wonderful. So you'll want to make sure to join us for all those wonderful segments tomorrow, bright and early there in Australia. I believe it'll be right around 8:30, I think it is, in Roswitha and Hans time. So be sure to join in tomorrow. But let's go ahead and choose the
all right, thanks everybody. Again, let me just go ahead and bring up some of the different comments. Again, we still have people commenting even on that travel kit. That was a fun one to see. Sure stitch regulator has been mentioned many times. Again, Lizzie Allen and hers with the feathering has been a really great one. Stitch regulation has been coming up several different times. So there's a lot of wonderful things. So thanks for being with us. Let's go ahead and choose one of those as the winner. And then we're going to do a Plinko again. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, we'll do a Plinko drop for it. So let me go ahead and see here. So this is a fun one. Okay, so this is Sue Olenberg. So that Sure Stitch Elite segment she enjoyed there. So wonderful. So let's go ahead and drop the Plinko.
I'm going to drop the Plinko down. Oh, throw it. It's going. Oh, there you go. One of our straight cutters.
And bring it up here.
And this is what she is winning. So let's put her name up there. Is her name up there, by the way?
There we go.
So who is the winner?
So it is the straight cutter. So right here. Let's see. Right here. So yeah, it was Sue Olenberg.
So again, Sue Olenberg. Sue, what we're going to do again is make sure you're seeing who you are, and then we are wanting you to reach out at mail@knowhowsewing, knowhowsewing.com.au. So knowhowsewing.com.au, and that's how you'll claim your prize.
Yeah, wonderful. So congratulations there. Again, on getting that straight cutter. Well, we just wanted to say thank you again, everybody, for joining us, and we hope and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yes, see you tomorrow.
Normal working day tomorrow.
Okay.
There you go. Normal working day tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Yeah, right.